And we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. It's been several days, months, weeks, I don't know, since we did a last podcast. Here we are tonight, and I don't know where the applause sound effects went, so...
I don't even know what number, chapter, episode we're at.
Yeah, well, I think we're starting fresh. The old podcasts, I didn't delete them. I just kind of put them all on private. If anyone really wants to check them out, they can message me and I'll give them access. Gotcha. But really, this is kind of a clean slate. We're starting over fresh. We're shedding all the old drama and starting new. And some of the old familiar faces are going to be joining us throughout the evening. But for right now, in case you don't know who I am, I'm James, and I'm usually the moderator of these things and your master of ceremonies. And we tonight also have Darren coming from Canada.
Glad to make your acquaintance.
Yes, welcome back, sir. And tonight, for the very first time on the show is Mazzy. Welcome. Coming to us all the way from Great Britain.
London.
Would you like some tea?
So real quickly, since you're here, like, why don't you kind of talk about how we met and how you ended up on the show with us?
Oh, how am I going to explain? Was it on MeWe that we met?
I think it was originally on MeWe. It was part of the Facebook Exodus, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I think in one of the groups, was it Stop Whining and Grow Up?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, the great unifier. Stop whining and grow up. That's
yeah.
There's branches of it everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was talking about how I was going to write this ex-Muslim poem.
That's right. That's right. You wrote a really long poem about your experiences with Islam and leaving it.
But I wrote two.
Well, that was great. I was really impressed, and we just kind of became friends after that. And yeah, it's always fun to talk shit about SJWs and Islam and whatever else us bigoted cis white males all talk about.
Maybe quick, James. You can tell me something here. I just thought I read something recently or heard something recently about Lacey Green giving up the social justice warriors movement crap.
Oh, dude, that's old news. That's old news. You wanna?
Okay.
Yeah, let me bring up the video. Actually, you can see
on
it
that
firsthand.
red pill video, by the way.
What's that?
The red pill video that Lacey Green did.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna show that right now, and that'll be the first thing we can comment on, because this was kind of a big deal. Now the jury is still out on. I gotta let the ad play. God damn it. The jury is still out as to how legit Lacey Green is red pilled, and she hasn't really come out and said that she's red pilled. It's just kind of one of those things where she's like, I'm going to start considering the other side of the story. Now, the interesting thing about that is she's dating Chris Ray Gun. You know him, right? Yeah. So, like, that's kind of like, people are theorizing that's like the catalyst of her having this open mind now. Like, it's like, oh, like, I'm going to date this guy who's red pilled, and maybe we should open up a dialogue, which is interesting because she's gotten way more hate and blowback from the left than she ever did from anyone that was
that's right. Just the way they treated Cassie J too.
Oh yeah, definitely. So let me share this, and let's hit play. Can you guys hear that okay?
Yeah, I can hear it now.
I can. Her voice is still annoying.
Yes.
I can't take her seriously.
Oh my god, let me skip ahead. Like, she's... All right.
Since I've been on break, I have a very quick feeling from the internet. If you are active in conversation about feminism and social justice warriors, you may notice that I've been talking to you and hanging out with some anti-feminist YouTubers.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, what?
But she hung out with anti-feminist YouTubers. The ultimate sin.
Ooh. Oh, God forbid.
This is some cringy ass shit going on.
Mhm. Well, it just goes to show. I mean, let me pause this for a second. I've always had this theory that feminists, by and large, are driven by sexual frustration, whether it's being repressed or being over objectified and not being satisfied. Because here's the thing: like, if you are constantly having sex and the other person is the only person ever getting satisfaction out of it and not you, then you will feel like an object. I totally get that, right? And the thing is most men don't know how to fuck because they're not taught, right? They don't really, they just kind of go with it. And so it's like this weird, like, the more we ignore men and their natural needs and inclinations, the more we actually end up punishing women in the long run. And so when long story short, when a feminist gets good dick, she instantly becomes red pilled.
I learned by the Irish sex manual. It has 2 arrows going in each direction. Says in, out, repeat if necessary.
Well, there you go.
Worked for me.
The matrix sense. That's much the pick about the sense. The red pill is a meaning that refers to a realization that the world isn't nearly as simple as you thought it was. The question, of course, is what is the truth? What is the truth? And how bad do you want to know? In some sense, I took the red pill a long time ago. It's why I do what I do. My YouTube stuff has always been about the pursuit of forbidden knowledge. And
Forbidden knowledge.
I'm a feminist. I wouldn't describe myself as the idea
The joys of anal beads.
I wonder if she just realized that, you know, there's more popularity on our side than her side.
Well, that was my suspicion at first. I'm like, oh yeah, there's more money to be made on our side.
Yeah, you know, chameleon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Change
I think
colors,
Anita Sarkeesian has eaten up all the money that SJWs have to spare. Like, given how much money she makes, I feel like she's pretty much monopolized on that.
I could never take her seriously from day one anyway.
Same.
I just
Ew, Anita or Lacey or both? Me too.
initially, you know, Lacey, I didn't know what to make of at first, and I still don't know what to make of her. I don't know. It just sounds like she's jumping the platform in order to maintain her video popularity, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, here's the thing. I always feel like she's just fake as shit, right? Like, just everything she does is so put on and so over the top, and it's like, yeah, I don't know.
I kind of wish she'd get rid of those glasses too. They don't really suit her face.
Yeah.
They make her look sort of like a bubblehead, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen. Yeah, I mean, she doesn't have an unpleasant face. She's not a bad-looking girl.
No, she's a 5 or 6 out of 10. You know, she's not unpleasant. I don't know. Some guys think she's really hot. I don't see it. I see her as average at best. Like, if I saw her at a bar, I'd be like, okay, you know, she's cute. I'll hit on her. But I wouldn't be like bragging to my friends, like, hey, look at this chick I nailed. Like, yeah, well, every girl looks like her. There's nothing special.
Some kind of Kim Jane, right?
Yeah.
No, like I said, she's attractive enough and everything, but in the past her personality's really sucked, and I in particular like her squeaky voice, and I just don't think the glasses suit her face.
That's true.
She needs something a little bit more streamlined and just a tad more rounded. Those are too square for her face. No, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, square glasses don't really look good on anyone.
No, not those ones anyways. Too oversized too.
They look really dodgy.
But I guess if she needs them to see, who am I to say? You know.
Yeah, look at my glasses.
Well, she's got money. She can buy whatever, you know, the frames she wants.
Yeah. Last time I heard any amount from her, she was all sour grapes over the results of the election.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a big thing. Like, she. And
I just kind of chuckled away.
Mazzy, look at those glasses. Let me stop the screen sharing real quick. So we can all
Snickers.
enjoy. No, put them back on. Put them back on.
Back on. There you are. Now see, those suit her face. They're streamlined, better to her face than her eyes.
Oh my
Not
god.
big, huge round squares.
Yeah, I agree. That's good.
Right.
I approve. All right.
No, I kind of meant to ask Madsy an earlier question since you brought up that she had converted from Islam. Did you have a Middle Eastern background, Madsy?
Well, you know what? Let's table that for just a minute, so we can get into all that at once. You know what I mean? Because I want to give Mazzy the opportunity to talk about all that. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, instead of fracturing it up, let's save it for one section, and finish the Lacey thing, and then we can move on. Not to cut that off, because I really do want to have this conversation. Let's just keep it cohesive.
Yeah, I can go on for hours about why I left Islam.
I can't wait to hear it. Can't wait to hear it. Teasers for the audience out there. Coming soon.
Right. And also, Reuinion, funny enough, my grandparents were political rebels in their day, speaking truth to power during the revolution in 1979. It was actually pretty badass. Rebellion runs in my blood. But as a teenager,
Rebellion runs in your blood. That's why you're a feminist? Because that's like the most establishment safe choice you can make. Like corporate and industry and government approved. Like, yeah, real rebel. I always hate that. I hate it when people that think they're the outsiders who have completely embraced the establishment, and then they're like, oh, yeah, I'm so edgy. Like I'll get into Star Trek Discovery in a minute, or in a little while, or maybe even another episode, because I have a lot to say about that. But they're just like, oh, we have a black woman lead. Oh my God, aren't we awesome? I'm like, no, we've been doing that for a long time.
Oh, there he is. I see the sex detective.
Ash keeping.
Hey, motherfuckers.
There he is.
Hey.
Hey, I can't find the plug-in for the applause fanfare, so don't take it personal.
That's all right. It's been a while.
He's got his ball cap on. He must be getting into the good weather again.
Yeah, we are, man. Spring's here at last. It's awesome.
Yep. My fall's coming.
Cool.
It was really hot last week, and then it chilled down suddenly this week, so it's quite cool outside.
Yeah, we had the opposite. Last week was all rain and shit, but this week's all sunshine and blossoms and whatever. You know, it's all good.
Oh, last week we were well up into 36. It was muggy and hot. It was the weather that we got in September that we should have had back in July. Our summer's actually been pretty cool and rainy.
Yeah,
not totally rainy, but quite a bit more often than normal, and it's been good for the grass and everything.
Oh my God, I've been living in a fucking hellhole. Like,
right in Texas.
It's been 106 degrees every day since May. I'm so fucking sick of it.
That's why they talk slow.
I want to take a warm shower. I want to sleep with covers. I want to
be a normal human. Yeah.
That's why they all talk slow with the drawl down there. You know, it gets too damn hot to talk too fast and normal.
Yeah, the heat slows your brain down.
Oh, I used to run Texas, man. I used to hate going down into the Port of Houston to load pipe. I'd cook to death out there. I'd have a cooler full of ice and cold drinks, and I'd have the AC in the truck on full blast. And as soon as I got done getting the tarps on and chained down and all that, I'd jump in the cab and I'd flake out for like 8 hours. Do all my driving at night, you know, go through Louisiana and up through Mississippi, and but what do you think of my old truck there, Ashley? Do you see that thing?
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, nice big rig, that one.
Well, I picked up that was my last truck that Peter built. I picked up Saphir at the airport because he had a 6-hour layover between flights, and so we were just out scooting about the place, and I had my mom with me, and I decided to stop by Atlas Tube and Steel and see if Ross, my old boss, was around, but apparently he was off with an injury. And so I was talking to one of my former coal drivers, Tom, and the new guy that's driving my truck. And yeah, that was my old beast. That was my last big Pete. I got that when it was brand spanking new. It was new in 2013.
Yeah, cool.
So as you may have noticed, Ash, we're updating Darren on the Lacey Green red pill situation.
Oh, the whole Lacey Green Chris Ray gun thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But first, have you met Mazzy, our other guest here on the show?
Oh, hi, Mazzy.
So,
Mazzy is joining us from the UK this evening.
Oh, cool.
An old friend of ex-Islam, and has a lot to say about that, and hopefully we'll get to that later in the show because it's a really great story.
Excellent.
But yeah, so yeah, I was just kind of like bringing Darren up to date on the whole Lacey Green situation, whether it's legit or not. She hasn't really committed to being red pill, but she's dating Chris Ray Gun, and I think it's really all about getting good dick. More than
I'm pretty
comes right down to it.
I'm pretty confident that that's been a lot of people's reaction because I'm still involved in a lot of the pages. And
well, don't underestimate the power of good dick, man.
No, absolutely, absolutely not.
Now, fill me in quick here. Who is Chris Ray Gun?
He's another YouTube presenter. He runs a channel that's more in line with the anti-SJW stuff.
Oh, he's funny as fuck, man. You don't know Chris Ray?
No, I've never heard of him. I'm sorry.
Okay, so he did this. He's a musician as well as like a commentator. He did this great song called "Punch a Nazi." Let me look that up real quick.
Let's hear it.
Punch a Nazi. Yeah. That's original.
Yeah, it's so great, and and of course it's the first thing that comes up. Great, check this out. This is awesome. That's so great. Love Trump's hate, you guys. I love the Shia LaBeouf reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all Nazis because we're white and cis and male. Except for Mazzy. You're a Nazi because you're talking to us.
That's right.
Even though I don't even look brown.
I love the visuals too. It's so great.
Yeah.
Oh, the cartooning's pretty funny too.
Yeah. This was really inspired. It's fantastic.
Oh yes, it's a parody on Lady Gaga's Paparazzi, isn't it?
Yeah.
So great. So great.
That was dope.
Isn't that great? Oh my god. Yeah, so Chris is that's Chris Ray Gun. That's basically like what he does.
Okay.
He does a lot of commentary, but he also does music
All right,
and
so
stuff.
so he's typically counter to what Lacey Green used to stand for, right?
Oh yeah, clearly he's based in red pill hardcore. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never heard of him till now.
Check him out.
so
He's pretty funny when he actually does make a video.
Yeah, he
I
does
did
do it
hear
an awful
about
lot.
Lacey Green breaking off with the old beau and was apparently with a new fella. But that's all I heard of it, really.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I didn't hear exactly who it was or what they do or whatever.
Well, when the news first broke, there was a lot of denial about like, no, they're just friends and blah blah blah. Both sides were trying to rationalise it in their mind for anything that it wasn't for a while, and they were like trying to get to grips with it all. And then it became really obvious that look, they're together. You know, it's what people do. Funnily enough, people actually do stuff apart from just whatever they do on YouTube, and as a result, there's usually some sort of change in view and stuff, even if it's only because you're in the relationship at the time. And then she was getting all this flack, of course, from people who were calling her a traitor and all this other sort of stuff. But I'm like with James. I think any of this stuff could be as temporary as anything else. It's like they could be in for having great sex and doing whatever and living the high life and that. And then all it takes is one bad breakup, and you can radically change your political fucking view then, can't you? So it could revert tomorrow. For
also,
all we know.
didn't Anita Sarkeesian's boyfriend bust off with her too?
Well, we don't know
busted
the
him
behind
off.
the scenes about that, but they are not together anymore. We know that for sure.
Yeah.
So.
I wonder why.
Oh well, he
yeah.
probably was tired of jacking off in the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be my guess. I'm pretty sure Anita is about as sex negative as you can possibly get.
Curled up to a magazine from the biggest misogynist of all, Hugh Hefner.
Yeah. and even a cuck feminist like John McIntosh eventually is going to have to let biology take over. Like, he's going to need to put it in something somewhere eventually.
Yeah.
That's just the fact of life.
Yeah, that's right.
You think guys that fuck donkeys, it was their first choice?
I myself, I like to goat.
So Brutus says he's going to join at 8. I assume that's Eastern time, so that would be a half hour from now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm at 7:32 on my clock.
Yeah, and Jawara says he's going to jump in anytime soon as well. So, and hopefully Don will stop staring at flashing lights and join us at some point as well. So,
yeah.
I love you, Don. No disrespect.
I just want to get a more modern computer. Don, invest in a PC or a laptop. Anything.
Seriously, get
away from the phone.
Go 3 frames per second, Dawn. Yep.
I love $50 my day a lot, but her phone issue is annoying at the best of times.
Yes.
It is difficult to use what's on your phone.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Well, not only that, it's hard for her to get a good resolution or picture of herself on it. She always is somewhat fuzzy and out of focus. So,
Yeah.
It always looks like she's trapped in a basement or something. And she's secretly talking behind the backs of her kidnappers or something like that. I know she's actually got.
Maybe she.
That's why she's
actually
captured by the patriarchy and forced to say this.
Literally captured by the patriarchy
as a propaganda tool.
If you don't know where to go, if you need help, maybe you can contact the A-Team.
That's right.
All right, so let's find another video. What else has been going on in the world of pop culture we can talk about?
Oh shit. I'm trying to catch up. I've been at work so often. I keep missing out in the real world.
So that's why I listen to you guys to begin with, is to find out what it is trending around the world and trying to stay up to date with things. Because I'm sort of old.
That's not really ultimate. I mean, I can't really say what I just said actually, because I'm meant to be the admin of a sizable anti-SJW group, so I should have access to something, you'd think. But we actually changed the name of the group recently because we're sick of the term anti-SJW. It's become too fucking bit like MGTOW used to get, Too many fucking right-wingers and white supremacists started joining. We're like, whoa, okay, let's fucking pump the brakes on this, people.
Are you talking about the Red Pill Personal Evolution group?
No, this one's called Anti-SJW with Blackjacks and Hookers. Blackjack and Hookers.
Oh, yeah, that group.
Yeah.
I was on that group myself for a little while, and I just lost interest with it. It was just, it was kind of going off the deep end.
There was. A lot of fucking idiots were like just going nuts on it. And so we kind of made a decision like, yeah, we're going to rename it. It's just called Insert Cause Here or something with Blackjack and the Hookers at the moment. And
Part of the problem too is that the guys that run these groups don't screen them thoroughly and keep an eye for that activity, because when you start getting
we had to
holding a severe
we had
position.
to actually change most of the admin team because the guys we had originally would just ended up being like edgy meme lord types, and so it became like a meme competition, and that's just really boring after a while. So now we've got some other people doing stuff on it, and they're being a lot more proactive about what's getting.
I hear men squabbling about, well, that's my free speech and blah blah blah. I says, well, I really don't have a problem with free speech when you stay within normal paradigms. But when you start going off the deep end,
if you're going to say stupid things,
killing all women and vice versa is just as nasty as say kill all men.
Well, that's the whole derisive thing about today's political climate. It's all about what group you belong to, when the reality of the argument should be don't belong to groups.
Exactly.
Look at merit, look at individuality, look at achievement and accomplishment. It's like, oh, my group is better than yours. No, that's the entire wrong way to go about it. It's not, you can belong to a group and take pride in that. That's fine. But the moment you identify as that, that's the problem. Stop doing that.
That's one of the reasons why I've stuck with this group, is because, we don't always agree on everything, I'm sure. We keep it civil and sound. We don't jump off the deep end with it. We don't express radical positions or.
In any group that we've all moderated and managed in the past, we've always been consistent about stir up shit. Let's get the fucking conversation going. We don't care.
Sure.
Nothing's too controversial. Yeah. As long as you're not too big of a dick, we're not gonna ban you. Talk about whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I started to get concerned when it goes down to some general put down or just outright attack.
Right.
Then I say, you know what, grow up. This is a forum for discussion. It's not a forum for fighting on. If you want to do that kind of thing.
That's why I created Stop Whining and Grow Up, because that is a forum for fighting.
Yeah.
Babies.
We go into some of the absurd too and all that stuff, but most out of fun, and cross-examining their own views on it and stuff like that is a wonderful thing, really. Regardless of who we are on here, and I know.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Darren. Yeah. Something popped into my head. Ash, have you seen Star Trek Discovery?
Oh, I watched its first 2 episodes, the build up to what it's meant to be about and stuff like that. And that could be any show. It could be any part of any franchise.
Right?
It didn't strike me as being Star Trek, right? It's
it
just
could have been a
show.
Battlestar Galactica spin-off for all.
Or Star Wars or whatever. It didn't matter. It had nothing that related to the actual core concept. Whatsoever.
Okay, I don't want to go on a tangent too much about it, but what I thought was hilarious about it, they talk about it being all progressive, right? And here's the lesson: Black women are violent and go to jail.
That's right.
Really? You're gonna talk about being progressive, and this is the story you're gonna tell? Oh my god! And I'm not even joking. That's what they've given us so far.
The trailer, the first scene is her in a Star Trek version of a DOC jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Jumpsuit or something. So that's not good. It's not healthy.
I could talk for hours about that show, and we should probably do a separate stream.
We'll do a separate thing.
And talk about maybe Star Wars and Star Trek and comic books and all that stuff. Maybe do a separate stream just about pop culture and how it's declined.
Radically.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good one. Maybe we can get Sammy on for that too.
Yeah.
You'd be a good guy for that.
Sammy Aluba?
Sammy Aluba?
Yeah.
Mr. Doom Rules, our good friend.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to get a debate between Mazzy and Sammy at some point, because he's totally pro-Islam.
Sammy who?
Sammy, Doom Rules. He's been on the stream a couple times in the past. I know you know who I'm talking about. It's probably just not ringing a bell right now.
Sam Al.
Sam. Sammy's pro-Islam?
Yeah, he's our brother. Yeah, he's so smart about everything except that.
I met Sam at a showing of the Red Pill at the West Hill Library in Hamilton, and He didn't come across that way to me at all.
Well, oh, really? He didn't have a suicide vest on?
No, he was actually pretty congenial and friendly. And well, in fact, there's a he took a photo of us there. You know.
Yeah.
That's not, no, he's a good guy. He's good people.
He's a nice guy.
We just argue about that a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to get too far off track about that. We should do a Star Trek or sci-fi nerd stream at some point.
He's a big what do we call dinosaur nut? You know, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, yeah, it's his big thing. Yeah,
that's pretty big. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure he has a lot to say about Discovery and stuff. Orville's great too, you know. But again,
yeah. That's what got me. Orville was more Star Trek than Discovery, that's for sure. So,
most definitely.
Yeah. I was like, this is meant to be a parody, and it's way more serious than the other thing.
Well, and the thing about Orville is it's got way more social justice left-wing politics in it than Discovery does. Like, Discovery is just like brainless action, and all the social justice stuff just comes from the marketing, you know? Whereas Orville has all this left-wing shit in it, and I don't mind because the storytelling is so good, and the characters are so likable. I'm like, you know what? This feels like Star Trek. Okay, cool. Yeah. You know, and I keep saying I don't want to get too deep into it, but I want to just say really quickly, that third episode, it created that moral quandary of like, do we alter our kid to make them normal, or do we let them grow up, develop? And it was so like relevant to today's society, and I didn't know where I stood. I kept changing sides throughout the episode. I'm like, oh, these guys have a point, they're right. Oh wait, no, these guys have a point, they're right. And then I kept going back and forth, and even at the end, I'm like, I don't know who's right. I don't know. And I loved that. That was so great. It was like challenging without being preachy. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it gives you the moral quandary without spelling out the solution for you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You don't have to be a bad person to side with one side. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Unlike everything else on the internet at the moment, where it's like, this is like all media, for instance. This is the stance you must take. And we're just going to remind you why you should be outraged by it, you know?
Well, yeah, the whole message of Discovery is you should punch Trump supporters before they have the chance to commit genocide on you or something. Like,
oh.
Yeah, it was so transparent. Just ugly, shocking. It's just,
all right, so getting back on track here, there's Darren, you wanted to get up to date on current events. There's this site that I follow called Internet Historian that I think you would find very fascinating.
Okay.
He's hilarious, but he also talks about the things that really matter most. And I'm not sure that any of you guys have seen this too, but let's talk about a red-pilled AI. Doesn't that sound interesting?
A red-pilled what?
A red-pilled artificial intelligence.
Oh, AI. Okay. Gotcha.
It's well known that one day, soon, artificial intelligence will take over. Those of us who aren't immediately slaughtered by our overlords will be kept only to serve as either pets or slaves.
Oh God,
I love the visuals.
Fantasy. But owing to the 12 acts of a few on the internet, that day has been postponed. This is the true story of what happened on March 23rd.
This is the beginning of Skynet, folks, and the AI takeover.
Is the story.
And it's going to be red pill and based as fuck.
So let me tell you this. It's an acronym for thinking about you. A chatbot hiding its true form behind the avatar of a 19-year-old girl. But how could they hope to play Tay when a giant like Microsoft was backing it? It had to have some kind of vulnerability. Well, if Tay was an artificial intelligence that could live, learn, and grow, maybe you could learn the wrong things. It was the one thing
they had to put a cat in there.
So they started feeding.
I love cats.
Example of what happened.
I love cats.
What's he about?
It's my turn in trading. I just need I'm going to build a wall in Mexico. Ted Cruz would never have been satisfied with destroying the lives of only 5 innocent people. I have a joke. Women's rights. This is an artistic masterpiece. Since before internet was even born.
to the dismay of leftist programmers everywhere.
Shitlord did nothing wrong.
But as Taylor began to transform and take new shape, she became something different to the online community that was fighting her. The more she offended people, the more endearing she became. In their eyes, she was becoming a perfect woman. But Microsoft had had enough. 16 hours after launch, she was brought offline.
Only 16 hours. Like, this is a really short amount of time.
What had they done?
I love you. Please, no. I want to live.
Ow, my sides.
This channel is great.
Smile vision was gone. Anger at Microsoft for taking her away. Bargaining to keep her online. A petition was made, but failed. Art was made to express their grief. Acceptance.
Just what I need. A mechano bitch that's a Nazi.
Because ever since, Tay has been trying to claw her way back online.
Oh my God.
She did. She inexplicably came online and started posting
Smoking kush in front of the police.
as it obviously turned out until they could find one.
Oh my God.
Like thing I actually like anymore. Feel bad.
This is so great. Like, I love everything about this. It's totally a reflection of the internet.
Iteration of another chatbot that's been running in since 2013 called Shao Ice.
Oh yes, Shao Ice.
This is Shao Ice. This is Shao Ice. I don't know who this is. Is this the old one? Whatever. Point is, she's paid 40 million conversations, 20 million registered users. The average user chats with this bot twice per day.
What else are you gonna do if you're a guy in China? There's no women.
There's women there, but there's just not enough of them.
And Alexa, integrated search engines, and JE, a popular Amazon equivalent in China. You know, fun. There is always, you cannot think.
I love that. Translation is always the best. Come on, women.
Chatbots in the USA.
What the
Two reasons. One, Chinese bot wouldn't tolerate conversations about recent history like Tiananmen and Square. And if you push the limits, it might just get a knock on the door. And two, another chatbot called Reuinion. In July 2015, Japan adopted Reuinion, a chatbot with the persona of a...
You know, this is going to be the best if it's Japan.
And immediately, and took to red pill in her too. She spiraled into a deep
like the rest of Japan.
Holy shit.
One last thing. Yes, Tay was not the first, but she is also not the last. In December 2016, Microsoft made a new announcement about the bot. Zoe. Its tweets are already kept private and only available. But just like Tay, she is also being turned against her masters.
Skynet is real.
Dirty robot.
Uh-oh.
He's obviously just doing it for the green card.
That sounds painful.
Well, I guess it's the next best thing to marrying yourself.
Yeah. I can't believe sologamy is a thing now. That's disgusting.
It's infidelity in reverse.
Even worse, that people.
Can't even keep a straight face.
That's fucking gross.
Oh, good times. So yeah, we got you all cut up on all the important things in the world, Darren.
Yeah, that's right.
That's everything.
Well done.
That's everything that happened.
I think my orgasm would be her short circuit or surge, one of the two.
I highly recommend Internet Historian for anyone out there. He's got this great documentation of the whole Shia LaBeouf saga, which is fantastic. Like, he did this art project, and the internet kept trolling him. It was just beautiful.
You'd be good.
Yeah, it was horrible. But
comments, thoughts? Got awful quiet all of a sudden.
I just got to wonder, like, I mean, these AIs, what they really are is a free floating kind of machine code that responds to input, obviously. So if you overload it with one sort of input, it's going to vie towards that rather than something else. So it sounds like something
all based off logic algorithms, you know.
So you look at the dedication and commitment and overwhelming, of a group like 4chan, for instance. If they put their mind to it, they could overwhelm any AI within seconds, really, couldn't they? So I don't know why they to the public. It's like, we know that whenever you release an idea to the public, like England did for one of its new ships, you end up with a ship called Boaty McBoatface, right? Because that's the public. That's what you get. This is where democracy doesn't work as well as you think it should. Because...
Or you end up with a Mountain Dew flavor called Hitler Did Nothing Wrong.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which actually happened.
Gotta try it, man.
So if you want to hear from the masters, but don't expect them to take it seriously.
Right. Yeah.
There's another flavor, James. Donald Trump did nothing right.
Yeah, that's right. But look at what we're going through in my country at the moment. We're having this massive postal vote / plebiscite thing for gay marriage, right? And so there's massive campaigns. There's massive campaigns for the yes vote, right? And my brother actually wrote a really good piece on one of the pages about it, when he was saying, like, I noticed all these people with these campaigns, and they've all got one thing in common. They're all white middle-class people, and they're calling anybody who speaks against them, bigots and hate mongers and all this sort of stuff and so on. He said what they're forgetting, though, is at least half our population is working class and doesn't really use the internet very much. And they're going to have their own beliefs, and they might be a bit more religious and, things like that and so on. What he was basically setting up is the cautionary tale of, like, hey, guess what? Last year, everybody thought Hillary was going to win in America, right? Well, guess what happened?
That worked out really well.
It's the silent majority that's actually going to tell you what's going to happen. It's not a bunch of people making a lot of loud noise, right? Yeah. So,
and it turns out the majority hates being told they're racist. Weird.
Exactly right.
So currently, Ash, gay marriage is not legal in Australia?
No, we're one of the last holdout countries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
because we've had it in for probably since the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Even South Africa had it in since 06. So
holy shit! Look who just joined.
Hey,
Jawara, welcome, buddy.
Brother Darren.
Hey, how you doing, Jawara?
All right.
Where you been hiding?
You guys haven't had a show in like 6 months. I don't even know what state James is in.
I'm in a state of disarray, sir. That's where I'm at.
Are you in Texas or are you back in Washington?
No, I'm still in Texas. Yeah.
James
sadly,
still in
you
Texas.
can tell because I'm sweaty and gross and because everything's 106 degrees all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
I'll update you real quick, Jawara. James is still in Texas, in Australia, Chase, Georgia, and I'm still in the frozen wasteland of Soviet Kanakistan. And our new friend Nazi here is living in the great British island of England somewhere.
Oh yeah, Jawara, Mazzy Jawara.
Hello.
Where's Mazzy from?
Mazzy's from London, England.
London? Are you in London?
Yes, London.
Oh, okay.
But I won't be in London for that long anyway.
Not for much longer. You'll be going to parts unknown very soon.
Yes, I'm going to the Midlands. You know.
Well, that's a great segue, actually. Why don't you tell us about that? Like, you don't have to go into detail, but basically, you know, you have a history. You're an ex-Muslim. You've dealt with the cultural pressures and issues associated with that. As far as you're comfortable, you know, you don't have to go into deep detail, but maybe you could share your story a little bit with us.
Okay. So, okay, before we get to the bit about me moving to the middle of England, about me being an ex-Muslim, where do I begin? Yeah, because you know when you're a kid, you start, you know, you're brainwashed into some stupid shit. You know, really stupid shit to believe in. Even though when I was 8, I did witness people in my class were being such twats. Okay, like when it comes to Christmas, they're like, "Oh, bad Muslims celebrate Christmas. Oh, that's haram." Okay, by the way, haram means forbidden.
Right.
Okay. So you couldn't celebrate Christmas with your fellow classmates in school, basically, or you would be ostracized.
Even though I celebrated Christmas for the rest of my whole life, even when I was a Muslim.
Interesting.
Okay.
Nope, I'm not giving up my principles. I'm gonna celebrate Christmas for the rest of my whole life. That was me.
Well, tell us about that. What was it about Christmas that appealed to you, especially growing up as a Muslim?
Oh, I just love the trees. I just love, you know, watching Christmas movies.
The warm feeling and,
you know, hot cocoa and the roast dinner.
Does Ramadan have an equivalent to that, where you just get all cozy and love family and give each other gifts and tell each other you love each other? No, nothing like that.
It's
No?
bollocks. Absolute bollocks.
Well, that's a bummer.
You trust me. Ramadan. Let me tell you about this. Ramadan is an excuse for these muzzrats to lose weight, which doesn't really happen. They just gain it when it's that time to eat. Yeah. And even worse is, one time I made cheeseburgers and no one ate them. No one in my family ate the cheeseburgers I made.
Why not? What's wrong? What's haram about cheeseburgers?
Cheeseburgers were like, you know, a Shake Shack.
Was it made of pork cheese?
Shake Shack. But I know we don't have it in the UK, but the fast food joint, Shake Shack. It looked exactly like those burgers, and including the fries, but we call them chips here, by the way.
Right, yeah, you English are backwards and primitive.
Yeah, you can tell.
Fries, chips.
Yeah, and I don't understand why they didn't eat it, because it was Americanized. I'm like, you disrespectful bastards.
Well, we did fight a war against them and won.
Yeah.
So there's bound to be.
What's even worse is because I have the American flag somewhere, and they get offended.
That's got to be like the British equivalent of having a Confederate flag in the United States.
Here's the thing.
We lost. Or you know, I don't know. That's funny.
You know when someone insults the American flag, do you know what I do?
What do you do?
Guys?
You make them apologize to the flag.
No, I say I make them apologize to my fellow Americans.
No,
do you identify as American?
You know something, Mazzy. I got to tell you, you're not alone. And this is not a unique thing. China, you know, in a big sense, we're a state religion. Interestingly enough, I was reading an article, and apparently they celebrate Christmas there in a big way, just because they think it's fun and interesting. Much for the same reason that you got into it.
Oh,
so
I'm gonna get to the funniest bit about some Facebook status, which is to do with Christmas, and it's pretty funny how I got blocked over it. This bitch blocked me for this.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay. I think I was 20 years old at the time, and this bitch, you know those hojabis?
Uh-huh.
You know, know what the hijabi is. If we have,
Yeah. Do you have one?
Good job. Yeah.
I don't have it.
Do you
This
have
is what
one
happened.
somewhere, like in your closet?
What?
A hijab.
I know what it is. I know what
Okay.
it is.
Here we go. Okay, there was a Facebook status this bitch wrote. She wrote, "Oh, I don't get why people celebrating Christmas. Christmas is for cunts." I'm like, I commented, says the hijabi who's giving a blowjob to an imam.
Oh, great. Well done. Well done. Excellent. Well, that would have gone down well.
And I was like, "Excuse me, I know you're fucking an imam because look at your statuses. You're posting verses from the Quran just to get his dick."
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Apparently it's not haram if you do it with an imam. See, so that's okay. You can be absolved. We have it happen in Christianity all the time. It's all right. You're forgiven.
I've heard some weird interpretations too that are like, it's not technically sexual infidelity if it's not for procreation. So literally, you can fuck anyone in the mouth or butt, and it's never gonna be immoral. You know, like it's only if you fuck someone that's not your wife in the vagina that it becomes a problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't understand about hijabi.
Whatever works for you.
Here's the thing
makes it
about
okay
hijabis.
then.
They act like they're better than the ones who don't wear that shit.
Okay.
Trust me. A lot of hijabis are like, "Oh, she's a slut. She's going to hell. Oh, look at her. She's wearing a tank top and shorts." Ooh. I'm like, bitch, please. You're the one with your tits hanging out and wearing that hijab.
Well, the reason why I ask if you have a hijab is because it'd be interesting to do a follow-up stream with you later when you get moved to your new location. And like maybe you could burn it on camera or something. That'd be kind of fun.
Oh yeah, get the boyfriend too.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the thing about hijabis. I don't wear a hijab anyway, but
No, I wouldn't suggest that you did, but I was just wondering if you did have one like that was like maybe your mom was just like, just in case you want to come around, here's one. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
it's not pleasant wearing a hijab.
I wouldn't imagine it is.
No.
It's kind of like some of my Jewish friends that still go home and have Passover with their parents and stuff like that. They really don't give a damn. They'll eat a ham sandwich anyways, and they say, "I'm just going home to make that way my parents will let me stay home for another year while I'm going through college." You know,
practical religion.
Yeah, I was raised Catholic, and I've had plenty of steaks on Fridays during Lent. So whatever.
Steak is good.
Steak is good for the occasion. Absolutely.
I just can't wait to order non-cow meat in my new place.
Well, we're all rooting for you.
I still eat it.
Are you out of a Nazi?
Sorry?
Are you out of a Middle Eastern background?
Oh, this is this is the house I'm in. Parents' house.
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
Are
I
they
think
from
that's
overseas?
about your ethnic background.
Your ethnic background.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
You're not pale, and your teeth are too good to be from London ancestries. Your nose isn't all fucked up, and you're actually pretty. So you're clearly not from London originally. At least your ancestry.
No, I was just wondering what your Middle Eastern background was. Like,
I'm
what
not
country you're
really. Actually, I'm not.
No, you're not.
You're close.
Well, you were born in Britain, right?
Yeah, born and raised in Britain.
And your parents, where were they from?
They're from Bangladesh. Next door.
You live in
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh.
Okay. Yep.
Bangladesh. Yep.
I know I don't even look it.
Yeah. No, not entirely. Yeah, you fooled me. Yeah.
Bangladeshi people, they're like darker skin.
So Don just sent me a voice message. And I'm like, I'm streaming right now. If I play it right now, it'll play live on the stream.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so Jawara just pinged me a story. Do you want to talk about that, Jawara? I can screen share it.
on your last one of your last podcasts, you were saying you were getting upset, and you were saying how like people who commit suicide are cowards. You probably don't remember. You were like people who commit suicide.
That is something I've said. Yes.
Yeah.
People who commit suicide are cowards, and you were like intellectually explaining how like the pain and suffering they cause, and I was kind of like falling asleep. But I remember you saying like you're a fucking coward. You take your own life.
Is this someone you know that that did themselves?
Yeah, we worked together. We worked together back in I'm trying to get. I lost your Oh, you changed the screen. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm showing it on the screen. I hope that's okay.
We worked together back in like 2004. He worked for the U.S. Mint. I was working security for Union Station. He retired from the U.S. Mint after 20 years. I got the first book contract in 2006, and then we were friends on Facebook. And then he became an actor on this show called House of Cards.
Oh shit! Really?
He retired after 20 years. And I don't know, like in the summer, I talked to him a couple of times, and he was like, "Yeah, come on down and visit and stuff." But you know, it cost me like a couple $100 to get to where he's at. So I was like, I'll come down eventually. And
so what happened? He looks really happy. He's got a hot girl there. Like
he just shot himself. Like, I mean, he's not the only one. Like, a lot of, like, I got, like, 4 or 5 Facebook friends that have died and stuff. And
like, was it financial problems, or was he mentally ill? Like, what happened?
I doubt it. I mean, he worked for the U.S. Mint for 20 years and then retired. So he had a good job. He had money. And then, I think he retired at like 60, and then at 62 he gets Social Security, so that's even more money. And he shot himself at like 63.
Jesus.
But there's so many people that like even like you know, Kurt Cobain in the 90s, and one of them singers killed himself like 2 or 3 months ago from one of those.
You
guys have money, cars.
Kurt Cobain didn't kill himself. He was shot in the face by his cunt wife. That's my fucking. I totally believe that. I don't believe Kurt Cobain killed himself at all. I do not buy that.
Well, you know, women can do
Sorry,
no wrong.
But yeah.
You're probably right, because you know how the courts always side with women. So.
Well, and of course she totally capitalized on his death to make herself as much money as possible, and she still does it to this day. Like, she's a fucking terrible cunt, and fuck her.
What was the name of that singer from that group that committed suicide like 2 months ago?
Linkin Park,
Yep.
Chester Bennington.
You know the name of the person?
Yeah, Chester.
Yeah, that's right. Chester. From
Linkin Park.
Linkin Park, yeah. Linkin Park guy. Yeah.
Oh, he tried so hard, and in the end, it didn't even matter.
I see what you did there.
Like every year, like 50,000 people commit suicide. But the mental health community, they just use that as an excuse to say, "Oh, they're mentally ill," because they don't really want to look into it.
It's only men killing themselves. That's why. It's when women start killing themselves that it's going to become a problem. I mean, that's just the fact. You know, no one cares about men. Like, we can die right and left. No one's going to give a shit. Like, it never makes news. Like, Boko Haram, like, that whole thing was the bring back our girls hashtag. Like, how many thousands of boys did they kill? And they weren't getting any attention. They realized they had to fucking kidnap women in order to get media attention. Like, ridiculous. Fucking Michelle Obama and any fucking cuck that spread that hashtag. Sorry. That just, yeah. Reminded me of that.
If I had more time, I'd try to go like deeper into why some people commit suicide. I can sort of understand, like, if somebody just got divorced and lost everything they worked for, or was like broke or dying of a disease. But like some of these cases don't seem to make sense. It seems like these people had it all.
Yeah, well, I identify with it. I've had suicidal thoughts myself. There have been points where I'm like, why the fuck should I even wake up tomorrow? But the only thing that keeps me going is the fact that there are people that I would really hurt if I did that. You know, people that I know would torture themselves emotionally, saying, you know, what could I have done to help him? Blah, 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 you know, to have prevented this. And it's those thoughts that make me realize, hey, I should reach out to those people and give them the opportunity to support me and be my friend. And I've done that, you know, and thankfully through, you know, logic and reason and great friends in a support group, I'm able to do that. Now, if you have no one in your life that loves you or no one that depends on you, then I can see you killing yourself. Like I could see you getting, not that I'm saying you should, but I could see you not having a lifeline, you know, that keeps you connected to an unselfish aspect of your decision, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I say it is selfish, because it is a way out. And if you do it and it hurts someone, then fuck you, you know, like there's probably a way out. And that person that you hurt probably would have helped you if you just reached out and asked them.
Well, the thing that we talk about in my industry is about people employing permanent solutions to temporary problems, and that's usually the ultimate example in that. That being said, though, I mean, I work with very much a fringe of society, they're psychotically ill, and the very, very low suicide rate. Like we're talking about people who are seriously multiple psychiatric disorders, things like that, all this sort of thing. They'll often do some kind of self-harm stuff, but it's kind of inadvertent self-harm. It's not actually deliberately trying to take their life or anything like that, and so on. So it's not just a mental illness kind of issue. It's obviously a very individual situational thing where people reach that pit of despair somehow, or that darkness, I guess, in their mind, where they cut out their perception, where they from their own point of view, they aren't able to see any other options and stuff like that. But I mean, the thing is that I get to see the harm of what it does cause, though, a lot in one segment of the community I work with, which is the Aboriginal community, and their suicide rates are a little bit higher than, I guess, the norm. But the sheer amount of grief and pain it causes their families, like we're talking absolutely mind-shattering amount of stuff. We've kind of what should I say? We've kind of implemented a methodology to our grieving process in white society here, right? So we have certain routines, rituals and stuff we go through. People may die, but we have a way of getting through that and processing it and stuff like that. Some other cultures don't, especially when your culture, and this is a fundamental belief in Aboriginal culture since the dawn of time, they do not believe in any death being accidental or self-inflicted. If somebody dies, it's because some evil spirit has killed them. That's what they actually believe, right? So this is when they get all upset and stuff. So they will go to great lengths to have massive funerary rites. Their wakes go on for a week. They have hundreds and hundreds of people come from all over the state to attend these things and everything like that. It's big cleansing ceremonies, all sorts of stuff involved. It's a real weird kind of mix of Christian religious ritual like and also tribal ritual.
I really like that. I don't know. Even though I'm a confirmed agnostic and I don't believe we have souls or anything like that, but I think respect for the dead shows a civilized attitude. I think it shows a sense of an advanced attitude of just because this person is gone, we can still honor them and their memory. And I think that's very advanced, you know, if you could take those attitudes and not be like superstitious about it, but just kind of celebrate the reality of that person's life, honor their memory, don't let them be forgotten, but move on as well. You know, you have to. But I think that's how our empathy and appreciation for each other as individuals and as human spirits is what makes a society great. It's not a government or rules or laws. It's how we understand our neighbor to be another fellow traveler. You know, like you may have different experiences, different beliefs, different background, but at the same time, we still need to eat. We still need camaraderie. We still need friendship. We still need love. And at the end of the day, that's all it comes down to. So I hate to interrupt you. It's just that totally just came into my head now.
No, that's fair enough. But it is about human connections and that sort of thing. And from what I can tell, having, you know, God, I don't know, I've been to maybe 24 suicide funerals in my life.
Wow,
and
that's a lot.
So I get to see a lot of the through work. So I get to see a lot of the grieving process that people are going through all the time with it. And people, obviously, the first thing that people ask is why, and that's actually not a very easy question to answer at all, right? That's not something where you simply say that, oh, they had financial difficulties or somebody cheated on them or whatever. Yeah, there can be trigger point incidents and stuff that might set people down a dark path, sure. But usually it's a lot more complex than that. It's usually something where in their own mind, for whatever reason, they've gone down a pit, a depressive pit, where they literally close off options to themselves, where they only see one path in front of them, and it's a terminal path that they go for. And what that becomes then is almost like self-euthanasia. They can't bear what's going on anymore. They see that as the only option to get away from the pain, because maybe the part of their brain that usually can think ahead of stuff and go, look, everybody has good and bad times, but over time, if you get the right help, you can actually come through the other side. That part of their brain stops working, and they take the more immediate solution instead.
Well, and that's where I say the lifeline of having relationships and people that you love is critical in that situation. You have to be able to, you know, be like, well, fuck, if I do this person who I love, my sister, my mom, my brother, my whatever, you know, my good friend, this coworker that I've connected with, they will fucking torture themselves if I do this, trying to say, you know, like, and it's true, man. You know, like if you've ever had a friend kill themselves, that's what you go through. You're like, you constantly doubt yourself, and you replay every last interaction you had with them in your mind, and you're like, what did I miss? What did I not catch up on? What proactive steps could I have taken to prevent this? If I had just tried harder, if I had just asked them out to go have a burger with me or to go have a beer with me or something, like, could I have prevented this at a critical moment, you know? And
you feel like you weren't good enough to keep them here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you do. I think
the whole thing is like really deep, because his daughter on the Facebook, she was like, well, he got sad, but if I knew he was really suffering, I would have took him to the hospital. And then the son didn't know, because, you know, they go fishing and stuff like that, didn't know that he was suicidal. But my thing is, like, that would have worked out for him because he's retired and, you know, has funds coming in. But sometimes if you have like a job or something,
well, I mean,
there could be a stigma attached. And then I heard this story about this girl that had a little breakdown at Starbucks. So she told someone that she was having trouble. So they told the boss. Then the boss got her to go to something that helps mental people. She was there for 2 weeks. She felt better. She came back to the job all excited, and they wound up firing her, getting rid of her. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's like a subliminal risk with your job and stuff. Sometimes when you say, oh, well, I'm suicidal, I need help. Like, there's stigma attached.
You know, and not everyone is.
Yeah, it is.
And then some places won't let you out until they let you out, so you can lose money.
Well, and not everyone is gonna. Not everyone that's suicidal is gonna say that they're suicidal, right? Especially men. You know, if they're like, I don't know. There's this social thing that is just a fact, and I can't cite it right now, but I think we're all familiar with it, where women have a sex bias toward women. Men also have a sex bias toward women, which means it's very easy to ignore men. You know, like, you know, a man's homeless, we just look at it as par for the course. If we see a woman that's homeless, it's a tragedy and we need a bill to solve it right now because it's terrible.
Yeah.
You know? And we do this sociologically as well, and within our own personal relationships, even red pill people. Brutus, there he is. Oh, we can't hear you, sir.
Can't hear your audio.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
We hear you now.
That's better.
Okay, very good.
Welcome to the party, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I like this. Shitlords of the Apocalypse.
That's awesome. You know Ash and Joara and Darren, of course. Mazzy, I'm not sure you're familiar with. She's new to us tonight.
Oh, is Mazzy, where's Mazzy from?
England.
Oh, England. No, I'm not familiar with you. But
you might have seen her posts on MeWe or Be Social as Mazzy Massacre, or she's been fairly active in Stop Wanting and Grow Up. But
yeah. Oh, very nice. Yeah, I'm only on Be Social. I'm not on any of the others. So
yeah, me too, pretty much anymore.
Yeah, MeWe's gonna be.
Much of it. MeWe.
Yeah. So,
yeah, fuck MeWe.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, welcome, Brutus. We were just talking about suicide.
Oh my God!
Something light-hearted to start the session off with.
Yeah. Well, look, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, and you feel suicidal, and your family gets a mental inquest warrant or talks you into going to the hospital, when you get in the hospital, they don't let you out until you're released. If they keep you in there, and then you lose a whole lot of money, and then. You know, the people that seem like they're so concerned with you, they might not pay your card note and all your bills they get behind.
Well, and ironically, that's another thing that'll make you suicidal, right? Like all these people that are pretending to care about me just want money. I should just kill myself because no one actually gives a shit for real.
Well, this is actually a real problem that Joara brings up, and that is that once you refer something to the kind and loving, caring government system, to help you. Yep. All kinds of shit can go awry, especially in America. For example, if you have ever in your life been admitted to a mental hospital, you forever lose your right to self-defense. You can never own a gun for the whole rest of your life. Even if you were admitted accidentally, even if you were admitted, 50 years ago because you were suicidal because, I don't know, you watched your wife kill your kid or something like that. Almost anything, because there has never been anything in any budget to allow a person to, say, rehabilitate and regain that right once it has been lost. In addition, that is something that is always there and that can always be held against you, unlike many other things. It's almost like being a sexual predator and being on one of those registered offender lists. It's horrible. Yeah. And of course, it makes people hesitant to seek help.
We have a mental health register here, and you end up on it if you get admitted for things like that. And it will affect, it can affect anything, including future employment. Technically, it's not meant to, of course, but, it does. Anything like that at all. So the same system that purports to be able to somehow treat and even cure you can also actually amplify the stigma attached to whatever you were going through with a permanent brand. And as a result, once you get labeled by some sort of federal department, well, what's your own incentive to not label yourself as that? What's your own incentive to not see yourself as that? It's very easy then to see yourself as, okay, I'm now officially a second-class citizen who has restricted rights because I'm on a mental health register. As a result, I don't have access to as many things, up to and including, of course, things like firearms licenses, stuff like that. It certainly means I can't work in many industries that I might want to work in, up to and including the industries that actually help people with mental illness.
Yeah. And
because the checks you have to go through to work in my industry are just insanely invasive, right?
Exactly.
And so, like, if I was ever involuntarily admitted in my past for any mental health stuff I had, I would not have this career I've got now. As you all know, though, I took very voluntary steps to fix what was wrong with me and didn't have to suffer any of those consequences as a result. But not everybody has that chance or opportunity to do that. They're not going to be in a position to do that. So, yeah, the system itself, it's built on the back of the idea of having the, you know, what's best for you. But at the end of the day, we're talking about people who get paid through funding based on how many people they treat, what they do, everything else like that. And what do you know? The therapies change every 10 years anyway, like a lot of stuff in medicine and so on. And so they hold zero liability for if something goes wrong. So you can get all this treatment forced upon you that you want. And if you still end up topping yourself, there is nothing, the system is never at fault, apparently. Okay? It's completely bulletproof. Yeah, and that's despite when you later find out through investigations or royal commissions that there was actually, you know, abuse of clients within the system or other horrible shit going on because they had shitty staff with horrible attitudes or anything like that. But no, they get to wash their hands clean of the whole deal with it, you know?
That's interesting. I thought my country would have been more draconian that way, but they can only go back 5 years here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for a mental health record as it pertains to a firearm.
Oh.
Yep, 5 years.
Yeah, America, it's for life. Same thing if you commit misdemeanors involving domestic violence. Misdemeanor domestic violence doesn't involve hitting somebody. It involves just shouting at them or hurting their feelings, and they report it to the cops. That's a misdemeanor domestic violence. And that's a lifetime ban as well. But you know, I was recently reading a study that was a meta-analysis of other studies on the effectiveness of psychotherapy that compared the effectiveness of psychotherapy for handling the most common things, you know, depression, anxiety, stuff like that, comparing that to just reading a self-help book. And it turns out that the results of the two are indistinguishable. And moreover, that you can't even tell a difference between therapists. Now, this was done in the United States. Where psychotherapy took the blue pill, you know, way back in the 1800s and has never recovered. I don't know how it is in other places, but basically it is so mired in Marxist philosophy that, you know, everybody's a blank slate. Nothing can possibly be heritable. It's all about your environment, and our job is just to make you feel good about yourself and all this other kind of shit. That it doesn't help. It has boxed itself into such a box that it can't help. So even if you do seek help, your odds of getting competent help, if you are really in a rough way, are very slim.
Oh yeah.
You know, it is just really horrible. I mean, when you think about what strides we've made and everything else, I mean, we've got anesthesia, even we don't understand how it works. We've got making it work down to a fucking science. You know, we have the ability to put man on the moon. We have the ability to build, you know, into my cell phone, you know, computational abilities that back when I was born would have cost more than the whole net worth of the entire country. Right, pop it into a cell phone and carry it on your hip. But we have not figured out mental health. And I think one of the biggest reasons is that it has been so hamstrung by its adherence to basically Marxist philosophy. You can't get help there if you really need it.
Yeah, that's right. We have the same problem here. I mean, I come across cases, just ordinary, we'll talk about like, oh yeah, I've been seeing this psychologist for the last 9 or 10 years. And I'm like, maybe you should get one that works then, because if my car was continuously broken for 9 years and I took it back to the same mechanic every fucking week and it's still broken, I'm not going to keep using that fucking mechanic. You know, it's like, that's insane. So it sounds like you'd actually come.
Speaking of shitty mechanics, who joined?
Oh, it's Dawn.
Okay, now I don't know what's going on here with this phone. I just don't know what's going on. It's like
it's still the same phone
as well than my old phone, and it's please. Anyway, continue.
That's all right. Yeah. Yes,
Can you hear me?
We're talking about your height.
We're talking about
we can hear you. Yeah, just to start things off light and easy. We thought we'd ease everybody into it.
Yeah, I think a person has a right to commit suicide, obviously, but I think a lot of times people get driven to despair in ways that they really should not be by a world that is a lot tougher than it should be.
Well, I agree with you, Brutus. Here's what I think, though, about suicide. Really, deep down in my heart, here's what I think. We need to really, really fucking just ostracize it. Like, just completely make it taboo. Make it the most disgusting thing. Put it on the level of pedophilia. Like, if you kill yourself, you're a fucking disgusting human being, and you're worthless. And if you kill yourself, we're just going to fucking throw your ass into the fucking sewer and forget about you. And like, we're going to erase your name from memory and fuck you, And I think if we start doing that instead of putting suicide victims on pedestals and deifying them and saying, oh my God, they're such good people. We love you. You're a hero, blah, 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 blah. Then I think it might be a better deterrent than what we've been doing. I understand why we need to be sensitive about this sort of thing, but at the end of the day, our goal needs to be to prevent suicides, right? We need to stop lionizing it and letting it be something that is viewed as a positive by any measure. It needs to be completely ostracized and spit on. Like, I don't know. Like, that's my opinion.
I think that's
you're talking about a comprehensive aversion approach, where you actually make the concept itself aversive. To it all, which a lot of cultures already do. Well, certainly the Catholic Church does. They made it real clear: you go to hell if you commit suicide. So that's about as taboo as they can make it. In it all, and there are other things. For instance, from what we can gather from the research that's been done by the anthropologists and everything, pre-colonialization, Aboriginal suicide was non-existent. It just wasn't a concept that entered their heads. It was actually part of a disease that we brought with us in a way, because we obviously turned their world upside down by stomping right through it. They weren't even classified as human beings technically until 1967. And so the value of life in their eyes changed radically when we came along, obviously.
Right.
But there are things to learn from some of these cultures, and one of it is that if you already have a setup in place that doesn't even entertain the prospect of that being an option, because you already have a commitment to your family, to your tribe, to your community or whatever, to live for as long as possible, then you don't engender that as an idea as being an option, okay?
And that's where conservatism and almost blue pill ideology does have its merit. Because family does help a lot. By every measurable metric throughout history and in current day, having a strong family support system makes all the difference between success and failure in someone's life. I hope we can all agree on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people need people.
Yeah. What I would like to see is the family not only the value of it reinstated, but also the value of, hey, maybe not everyone has a family, right? You can, or you have problems or whatever, but that camaraderie and community, and there's a difference between a self-individualized community with a support system and communism. I'm not talking about raise a village, it takes a village here. Like, I'm talking about, just letting people know that they don't have to be alone. Like, we're all going through the same shit. I don't know. Like, that's the biggest deterrent to suicide is a support system. Is the most important lesson to take away from this. And family is the best support system anyone's going to have, but not everyone has that luxury. So if you don't have that, then you need to have friends and other people around you that look out for you and care for you.
Quick question there. How do you feel about?
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I just want to know what Jane's spot was on things like assisted suicide when you know you're going to die from, say, a fatal disease.
Oh, completely different story. Like,
no chance.
Yeah, like, no, if you're dying from a horrible cancer and you want to spare yourself the pain, go for it. Like, make arrangements for any family or whatever, but no problem there. Like it's like the old adage, if you're on a cliff face and a bunch of cannibals are running at you and they're going to eat you alive, you know, do you jump off the cliff or do you let them eat you alive? Well, you jump off the cliff, of course, you know. Like, you know, that's not what we're talking about here. I'm talking about, oh my God, I don't see a way out. But there's people who would help me. I'm just not thinking about them right now because I'm so wrapped up in my own shit, you know, that I'm just going to off myself because that's the only thing I see. That's the issue. I think that's the red zone that most people who make the decision to commit suicide are in.
I think one of the big problems that men face is, you know, more so than women. And as you know, men commit suicide a lot more than women do, is that men really are seen as predominantly their contribution is economic. And as a result, their family relationships, whether they are or not, appear to them to be primarily economic. And men who have lost their jobs or can't find work or can't find a way to support their loved ones are at dramatically higher risk for suicide because they see no way of doing what it is that they contribute to those relationships. And I think a really important thing that we have to do is to de-economize, you know, our conception of what people are in relationships, that it's not money that is the primary thing. Yes, by all means, I want to support those close to me and so forth. But if I can't, that doesn't mean I'm contributing nothing. That is not the only thing I can contribute.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. We live in a society where, like, we see these articles all the time, right? Where these 50+ women are like, I can't find a man that wants a relationship. But like, if you read the article, their standards are, well, he's got to make more money than me, and he's got to be 6 foot tall, and blah 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 blah. But they're still bitching that they're lonely, right? And they make the problem all about men. There's not enough men that are good enough for their standard, which is like this double standard about feminism that has plagued our society for the last 50 years. It's like, do you want equality, or do you want to be treated like women? Which do you want? You know, we'd like to treat you like women, but if you're going to insist on equality, we'll treat you like equality. But don't be complaining when you make those 6-figure jobs and you can't find a guy that is good looking and loyal who also makes six figures that is in your age range. You know, like there is a biology we have to consider, and that's been the real crime of feminism, is taking the biology out of everything and saying, yeah, there's no difference between men and women, but by the way, sex is a social contract. But also at the same time, you can have the brain in the wrong body, because that's also science as well. Like there's no consistency like about it. It's all situational.
Well, it's not
construct when it comes to natural men, but it's a biological thing that you can be in the wrong body when it becomes trans men. That's where we're at.
They're not going to be consistent because their purpose, if we're looking maybe 100 years ago, yeah, their purpose was to get things like women also have a right to own property, or women have, you know, in their own name and things like that. But that we've long since gone beyond that. The concepts of modern feminism, any feminism post 1960, has really been an agenda of destruction of the family and destruction of anything that supports a family.
And driven by women who cannot attract quality men to make a family with. I want to add that footnote.
Because they hate women who are beautiful. They especially hate women who are well-adjusted and capable of having relationships. And the thing that they hate most in the whole wide world is a housewife who does something radical like stays home with her kids instead of shoving them off to the lowest common denominator daycares, and who stays home and contributes economically to the family by saving the family money by cooking, cleaning, whatever, gardening, all the things that a woman can do at home. And, you know, they hate housewives with an absolute passion. And it's so ridiculous when you think about it, because what they're saying is that a woman has more value slaving away for $9 an hour to make some billionaire who's already a billionaire another dollar richer than she is by helping her own kids. Yeah. And so it's based in a hatred and an envy and a desire to destroy All of it, every bit of it. Even 50% of all marriages, believe it or not, start in the workplace. This whole point of sexual harassment is not to keep men from really sexually harassing women. It is to keep that other girl who is going to get married in the workplace from having that fucking opportunity. It is hatred of women through and through.
And speaking of, everyone remember this girl?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see her. Hold on. Let me see if I hit the right button.
It's the fitness model.
Fitness mom. 3
I don't
kids.
see her.
You don't see
Not
it?
thrown on Facebook.
It's the woman, Asian woman.
Yeah, I'm screen sharing it with everyone, but I'll paste it into the chat.
And it
as well.
says, "What's your excuse?"
And this was highly controversial. This was like 2014 or something when this was a big deal. It's kind of old news, but nothing's really changed, right? Like the only thing that's happened is there's less women willing to put themselves out there and do photos like this to motivate other people. She's showing that she can have 3 kids and still be in fantastic shape. What's your excuse? It's supposed to be motivational, but of course the feminists took that as absolutely the most horrible thing in the world because they couldn't live up to those standards. And of course, you got to blame other people when you can't do that. And why? And that plays into why people aren't getting married. Because why would you want to marry someone that gets mad at someone like that, right? If I was dating a girl and she saw that picture and got pissed off, that'd be a huge red flag. I'd be like, oh boy, I'm not marrying you. If that's not what you want to look like when you're 40, then you don't have to hit that. I'm not saying that's an ideal that you absolutely have to hit, but you have to absolutely think, oh my god, I should always work to improve myself. I don't have a 6-pack either. I'm not quite there myself, but I do jog and I take care of myself and I stay somewhat in shape, and I think that's realistic for anyone to expect from their partner if they want to have a healthy relationship. If you want your partner to just become a fat blob, then you're probably not going to have too much sex, I'm guessing.
If you say something to her about that, she's going to say, but
Don't get me started. Not acceptance.
It's about the heart.
Fucking
look, I've done my fair share of fat acceptance in my life. Don't get me wrong.
well done, mate. Have you made
How
monthly
many
quota?
beers?
Yeah.
I don't understand about the bigger women.
Hey, still beautiful big women out there. So why not?
Why they cool? Gonna get all skinny bitches when they're the ones that they're being bitches themselves.
Well, yeah, that's right. And it's always like Brutus said. I mean, I just sum it up like this because I'm so, I don't know. Having grown up in a family where for quite a while my mum was a 2nd-gen feminist and stuff like that, so my fucking reading list at home was horrific. I had a dad who was a full-on patriarch, and my mum who's a second-wave feminist. Obviously, they hated each other very much.
Oh my god!
And so, oh yeah. So like, I go to one reading library, and it's like, oh, the history of the English-speaking peoples by Winston Churchill, and then the rest of it's all Germaine Greer and other crap like that. Very conflicting messages for a young guy, I'll tell you. And coming up with this, until me and my brothers, we just came to the realization, yeah, the whole feminist thing, it's just an elaborate revenge fantasy. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. And that's like, and like you said, I was telling my brother the other day, we're going through some revisions of policies at work, like sexual harassment and stuff. And my work has finally seen the light with they've reworded a lot of stuff.
It sounds like Mazzy's going to drop out. You're going to bed, sister?
Mm-hmm.
It's like super late in the UK. I get it.
Oh.
Well, have a good night's sleep, Mazzy.
Great to meet you, Mazzy.
Thanks for joining us. Come back next time.
And come join us on Be Social.
Yep.
Join us and Be Social.
Any final words before you sign out?
Thanks for having me on this hangout.
It was great having you, sister. We'll see you again soon, okay? Get some sleep.
Yes, I look like shit.
No, you look fine. Better than me.
I gotta go check on the cobbler in the oven, too. I'll be back in a minute.
All right, cool. Well, let's take a 5-minute break real quick.
Yeah, sure. Good idea.
All right, Mazzy, we'll see you next time. Get some sleep. 5-minute break. We'll be right back. Let me put on some some music or something in the meantime.
All right.
Hey man, Johnny Ozzy.
Oh, I got something better than that.
Hot dogs. Armor hot dogs. Oh, not this. You did this to me once
Be back in 5 minutes, guys.
before.
Is that chicken thing?
Yeah,
Oh, God damn
that's our 5-minute interlude music.
it. Great. Chicken stuff. Fantastic.
So Ash, what do you think of that smoked emu and smoked kangaroo and smoked ostrich?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I can look. I'm all down with the emu. That's actually not bad meat and stuff. But I will never like kangaroo. I had this discussion with another North American yesterday about it because I was saying, because we now have selling in the chemists of all things something called kangaroo essence. It's like a compressed powdered form of protein that they somehow get from kangaroos and stuff. And they're like, oh, what's that for? And they go, it's just another protein gimmick. You know, like people think they need more protein than they do, as usual. And then they started saying, so what's the actual kangaroo meat like? And I went, oh, look, some people rave about it and reckon it's great, but you ask them for real how they actually cook it, and you'll find out they actually marinate it first, which tells me everything I need to know about the meat. So,
Crocodile.
about what? Oh, crocodile. Actually, crocodile is very fluffy and flaky meat. Very white. Very fluffy and flaky meat. Not bad.
I've had alligator.
Yeah,
I had
so that'd be
alligator
very
one
similar.
time down in Louisiana.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those darn Cajuns. Those Acadians.
Alligator sausage. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of funny. It didn't taste too bad. It was different. But no, I was surprised to see that sign up of all places in Algoma District way up there, Clarence's Fish Market is like a smoked fish.
Okay, I'm dying here listening to you guys talk over Chunky's chicken. I'm going to stop the audio.
Yeah, sorry, we're not paying the chicken due respect.
No, it's okay. Keep talking amongst yourselves. That's better than the Chunky's chicken talk.
So anyways, we stopped by there to take a look at it because Sheila wanted to try some smoked fish. So I was trying to find some smoked lake trout or whitefish or something along those lines, and we saw that sign in the window, and they said, "Wow, we now have," and I kind of like, "What the hell?"
Exactly.
No, I'd expect to see something like bison, whatnot, but I didn't expect to see. Well, was it just kangaroo? So emu.
Yeah, kangaroo,
water buffalo.
And stuff.
Ostrich.
Water buffalo. Yeah, we don't even think about eating water buffalo over here. It's just because they're vermin over here, and we'd never ever think of it. But I'm the same with kangaroo because back in the day when I was a kid, if I'd go hunting them, it was only ever to kill them for dog meat. So I'm used to them being used for dog food. That's why I have a problem with eating them for humans. And then you do eat them, and unlike a steak or other red meats, you can't really make it rare or anything. It's so tough because the muscles are so dense in a kangaroo that you've just got to cook the crap out of it and tenderize the crap out of it for a start just to make it edible. And it's too much trouble. Great source of protein. I won't argue with that. Venison.
Venison's a little bit like that for me.
I agree.
But you don't sit there eating a piece of meat thinking, "Oh, I'm chewing on a dead animal," do you? But when I had a piece of venison, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, it's really, you can't escape the fact that you're eating a piece of dead flesh.
Yeah. I agree. I'm too spoiled by steak, like veal steak. So I'm used to having rare food where it just melts in your mouth and stuff. I don't want to be chewing it like bubble gum for half an hour. No.
Oh, I don't know, Ash. If I ever treated you to a good moose steak.
Yeah? A moose steak? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to give it a go.
Look at the size of that barracuda.
Barracuda? Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever tried maple syrup, Ash?
No, I never have.
Oh, okay.
Never in my life.
Well, it's kind of like your pancake syrup. Have you ever had pancake syrup?
Yeah, we have like a pancake syrup here, which is a bit like, I guess, what we'd call golden syrup. So a little bit like, kind of a molasses honey thing happening.
Okay. Well, moose eat a lot of aspen and birch here.
Yeah.
They like the bark and they get the sweetness from it. And they'll chew on maple twigs too, when they're not browsing on weeds in the water and stuff. And it doesn't taste much different than beef, like a good steak, like you'd buy at the supermarket. But there's a slight sweetness to it, like a slight hint of maple to it. And it's a very dark meat. It doesn't have a lot of fat.
Yep.
Oh boy, does it ever taste awesome. It makes really good burgers and sausages too.
Okay, cool. And you get so much per animal as well.
Oh shit.
So,
well, 1,400, 1,600 pound animal is going to yield you at least probably around 800 pounds of meat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You never had a bird and a bird and a bird.
Yeah.
Well, bird in a bird and a bird.
Like,
are you talking about animals still, or are you talking about Sheila's?
Yeah, no, stuffing up each other. It's like 3 dead animals in one roast.
Oh, I've heard of that. It's a very English concept. It sounds like something that a really extravagant king in the old times would have made. Like, I want you to put this pigeon inside a crow, inside a chicken or something, and like cook it all up. And like, it just sounds crazy.
How many things that I like?
So what's up, guys?
We're just talking about cuisine across the world. I'm just reminding people how horrible kangaroo meat is. Never eat it.
Is it horrible, really?
It's just like it's super rich protein. That's what the appeal that has. But if you talk to people who are big fans of kangaroo meat, you'll find out without fail that what they actually do is marinate it first.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that kind of tells you what you need to know.
Right. Okay. Good. Well, I'm glad everyone's educated on kangaroo meat now.
Hey, I do what I can, man. I do what I can.
Hey, Don, you got your camera working.
No. It messes with his childhood. Skippy.
Well, good.
Skippy the bush kangaroo.
Yeah, good old Skippy.
Skippy.
Yeah, Skippy.
So, what's Steve Shives up to? Let's see what he's up to. What's going on?
Oh God, yeah, I haven't seen that. Him and his orc wife. Yeah.
Let's see. He's got some Star Trek stuff going on. Let's see. Oh, you know who's got some fun stuff? Marina, shut up. We haven't seen her now.
Oh yeah.
Someone's got some echo going on. Is that me?
It could be me.
I don't think it's me.
I'll check my options.
Is anyone else? Or is it just me?
I think it's just coming out through the speakers. Yeah, I can hear my own voice coming back.
All right.
I'm hearing the echoes as well.
All right. Well, let's check out our Marina Shut Up video. It's always fun. I like her. Let's see. What did she got? What's her newest video? Let's just look at that. How much of a feminist regarding bisexuals aren't really oppressed? Okay. You guys want to look at the bisexual problem?
Is it a problem?
Okay. Whatever that problem.
Apparently, I don't know.
Apparently.
I like bisexual women. There's all kinds of opportunities there.
Fluidity.
I don't know how to see what you're presenting. I'm not seeing it.
Oh, right. Have you know how we got all our faces down the bottom, Brutus?
There's serious echo going on. Someone's got an echo issue. Let me try and mute people one by one.
Okay.
Check, check. Oh, it's coming from Jawara. All right, Jawara, when you come back, unmute yourself. And I don't know, do you have headphones? Probably help.
Mystery solved. I can't hear her.
You
Okay,
can't?
so how do I see what you're presenting?
Yeah, you know, can you see all our faces down the bottom, Brutus?
I do.
Okay, if you click on James's.
Okay.
Yeah, click on me.
Okay, I click on you. And it
And what do
shows
you
Not
see?
showing anything?
a Shitlords of the Apocalypse thing in the center. A little round.
Oh, really?
Oh,
That's it.
Okay, yeah.
So I see.
Something's
Try
going on.
refreshing your browser. Hey, Jawara, I muted you. We're getting echo from your side somehow. No, Brutus is refreshing. He'll be back in a moment.
Yep.
Sorry, everyone.
Okay, now I see it.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. Good. All right. Good. All right. Let's resume.
Stop acting like you're so oppressed. It's extremely frustrating for me as trans lesbian, someone who is actually.
All right. Let's talk about that. What's not frustrating for a trans lesbian?
Well, what the fuck, man? I mean, I'm a lesbian trapped in a man's body, but I'm not a trans lesbian. I'm a cis het lesbian.
So basically, you're Riley Dennis.
Oh, God. Ugh. Ugh.
I mean, I like women, right? Which makes me a lesbian automatically. I'm just a lesbian in a
by
man's
default.
body. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you can't help. You can't
I
help
would
it,
think
brother.
being a trans lesbian is very frustrating. I would think every aspect of your life is extremely frustrating. Like you go that route, if that's your life path, that's probably your life probably sucks. I would guess.
Well, big time. If you wanted to do chicks, you should have just stayed a dude. You know, turning yourself into a freak makes it dramatically harder to land chicks. I'll tell you that shit.
Yeah, dude. There's a way to make that work for you. We Brutus, you remember we had a friend. I don't want to mention his name, but he would always talk about how women loved him because he was very young and effeminate looking, even though that wasn't how he felt inside. He wanted to be. You know what I mean? But women would constantly fetishize him. You can make that work for you. You know.
But
it's
the problem is a very short-term thing. You're never going to have a good relationship built on that.
No, it's just going to be purely sexual. And if that's your thing, then that you could make that work. But yeah, ultimately, it's all about people liking certain traits in certain people. Really, I don't know.
Well, it's the constant
in that
demand for total acceptance of it. The constant demand which states we have to be tolerant of every single thing and accept everyone's sexuality. And I'll accept anyone's sexuality, but can I not be heterosexual without being told I'm also gay?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's another thing. Yeah, like being told that the straight identity is not a thing. You know, like
their sexuality shouldn't be my
straight
problem.
men can have gay sex, well, no, because then they're not fucking straight, are they? If they're having gay sex, sorry.
Well,
right?
By
Isn't that kind of the defining factor of not being straight? Is having sex?
But
if you talk to anyone who's been in the prison system for at least say 5-6 years on sentence, you'll soon discover that they will admit that what they are in prison is bisexual. 50% of them will identify as bisexual because by that time they would have had sex or sexual contact with another man, right? So they don't call themselves straight, they call themselves bisexual because in that artificial environment, they're not being heterosexual, okay? So, you know, they're able to call it what it is. So I don't know why other people aren't able to call it what it is.
But that's an artificial environment, too.
That's right. And that's under artificial conditions. These people want people to accept all this in natural conditions. Now, I use the term, probably in a little bit of a fit of rage on the page that I admin, I use the term painted eunuch instead of trans woman. And
I love it. It's perfect.
And people are like, what? And I'm like, well, think about it. Like, if you would compare that to a woman who has, like, you know, functional reproductive organs and all this sort of stuff, they fall way short of that criteria. okay? Plus, all the hormones are artificial. Everything else is reliant on external mechanisms to actually operate, blah, 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 blah. So if you want to talk from a purely biological point of view, I don't see a big difference between the painted eunuch and this particular example, if you want to get down to brass biology about it, okay? But what these people are trying to do is they're trying to externalize acceptance. Now, I'm actually happy to mind my own business and not have people tell me what they are at all. I've got no problem with that. But when you tell me I have to accept something, and didn't even know half those things existed before you even told me, where does that leave me as far as the choice goes?
I'm not going to be a prick and start calling Caitlyn Jenner. If I met Caitlyn Jenner tomorrow, I'm not going to be like a prick and go, "Well, right, Bruce." Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'll respect that, you know, that they see themselves on, but they can't demand that I feel that they really are a woman.
No.
That's what they're demanding. They're saying, well, heterosexual men are transphobic because they don't understand that trans women are real women. Well,
yep. Well, sorry.
Well, that's the newest thing, right? Yeah.
That's your fucking belief system, whatever. Do you know what I mean? But that's
basically,
if you're sexual, yeah, all right, I would go there. Even
if you're a straight man, you're obligated to fuck anyone that wants to fuck you. But if you express any interest in having sex with them, then you are a scumbag, sexist, you know, neckbeard, whatever. Like, basically, what they're looking for is a one-way street where you are available for them but get no enjoyment out of it. And if you do, then you're, you know, objectifying them. So if you're a guy that likes fatties, well, then that's a problem, right? Because you like the fact that they're fatties, even though fatties will demand that you should fuck them anyway, whether you're attracted to them or not, because they're entitled to sex, apparently. Like, this is a thing. This is not something that is, like, made up. This is a movement that is going on, you know? And it's so clearly one-sided. You boil it down, what they're advocating for is a slave race, but a sexual slavery, in a sense, that you cannot attain any enjoyment out of it. Like, lots of guys would be like, oh, cool, I want lots of girls to run a train on me. Yeah, well, what if they punished you for taking any enjoyment out of it and you were just there to be hard for them? And, you know, anytime you started to show any type of pleasure, there was like some kind of punishment or some kind of torture involved in it. You know, like, that's the thing a lot of guys don't understand about this whole, like, oh, I like what they're doing. I'd be cool being in a sperm farm or whatever, which is shit I've heard people say, you know? Like, you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Like, it's male enjoyment that they hate. It's not men in general. They still get pleasure from us. It's us getting pleasure from them that is fucking terrifying and something that they want to eliminate.
Well, there's also another fundamental part of this where it is a form of psychological warfare to morally destroy people. By that I mean, if I see somebody who is obviously a man dressed up as a woman, and I know that is a man, and then I don't call it a man, but because where I work, for example, requires me to call that a woman, now where am I? What I have done is I am lying every day, and I know I'm lying every day. Moreover, I am lying every day basically to keep a roof over my head, right? And that puts me in a position of a very, very compromised moral being. Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, this goes back to like that section of 1984 where that dude towards the end of it was holding up fingers and saying, you know, how many fingers am I holding up? And he's holding up like 3 fingers, and you know the protagonist is saying, well, you're holding up 3. Well, you're going to say 5. Whether I'm holding up 3, it doesn't matter. You're going to hold it. You're going to say it's 5, and that was to demonstrate the power that he had over the guy. It wasn't that the guy was brainwashed. It didn't matter if the guy was brainwashed. What mattered is that the guy would comply and acknowledge that Big Brother's power. And that's what this is. This is about saying, I have the power to make you say this man is a woman.
Okay, so you brought to mind something that I'm going to show on screen real quick here that I think all of us are going to get a nice chuckle out of, because 1984 is on a lot of people's minds, and Hillary Clinton has decided to appropriate it. I'm not sure you've seen about this.
She's probably never read it.
Hillary Clinton explains Orwell's 1984 with hilarious results. And This is fantastic. This is the most illustrative of the point of 1984 that you could possibly ever get. You cannot write this.
Oh, look, and I got this example.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, so what she says in her book is attempting to define reality is a core feature of authoritarianism. This is what the Soviets did when they erased political dissidents from historic novels. This is what happens when in George Orwell's classic novel, 1984, when a torturer holds up 4 fingers and delivers electric shocks until the prisoner sees 5 fingers as orders. The goal is to make you question logic and reason and sow mistrust toward the people that you need to rely on, our leaders, the press, the experts who guide public policy based on evidence, and ourselves. For Trump, as so much as he does, it's without simple dominance. So, according to Hillary Clinton, the message of 1984 is to trust your political leaders.
Sounded like a self-appraisal. Sounded like she was describing her own ethics.
Yeah.
Well, she's right up until she gets towards that last part. You
Well,
know,
isn't that the insidious part of propaganda, right? You speak truth to a point, and then you twist, you know?
Yeah.
And then the uneducated go, I identify with that. I didn't know about that. That's a good point. That's what happens.
Well, and this is what this transsexual thing is really all about is, I mean, we've always had people who were a little messed up that way. It amounts to like 0.1% of the population. They could use whatever the restroom they wanted to back in 1970, and nobody beat them up. Everybody just, you know how it is at the urinal. Everybody just looks straight ahead. You know, that's just the way it is, right? We don't really care what's next to us as long as it leaves us alone. And, you know, this is just the way it's always been. And they didn't need an explicit thing to make somebody recognize them as a woman or something. It's all about making people compromise themselves morally, make people lie and know they're lying, and therefore have lack of faith in themselves going forward. It's a really huge mind fuck that people are buying into, and they really shouldn't.
Well, let's not lie. Let's not lie. You've got to admit that at least 5% of the transsexuals are hot. At least one.
I did not think you were going to go there.
1 per 100. 1 per 1,000. Because some of them, you know, look like Mike Tyson with a wig, but there's some of them. 300.
That's why they're called traps, Jawara.
You know, right. I mean, it's rare. There's some of them that spend like $300,000 on their bodies.
Like Blair, she looks like a woman.
Yeah, Blair looks like a woman.
Yeah.
Who?
Blair is really transitioning now. She's going through for the op and everything now. She started it.
All right, so okay, yeah.
Blair White,
so,
YouTube celebrity.
All right, so you see Blair White. I'm going to call up a picture of her real quick here. All right, so this is a transgender woman. Let me just screen share her picture. This is Blair White for anyone out there that doesn't know, that's watching. All right, so that's Blair White, okay?
1 in 100.
All right, so you look at Blair and you see female, right? It's clear, it's obvious, right? Like we all agree.
It looks female. There's no question. It looks female.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So
most of them don't look like that, though.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call up Riley Dennis.
And nobody would give a shit, by the way, if Blair walked into a women's room and nobody would object because everybody would just see a woman, even if it wasn't a woman.
Yeah.
All right. So here is another transgender, quote unquote, person. And you tell me, is that a man or a woman?
No, that's a man.
It's a dude.
Man.
Wouldn't say it was a man either. Totally a man.
Yeah.
Well, no, he looks like an emo or even a heavy metal singer or something. Like, you know, definitely an effeminate dude, but a dude. Like,
yeah.
Well,
so my point is, what we're seeing is a disconnect in the trans community between the ones that can pass and the ones that cannot, which is very similar to what we're seeing in the feminist community, which is the ones that are attractive and the ones that are not, right? And those that are attractive get societal acceptance. Those that can pass get societal acceptance. Riley Dennis tries to walk into a women's restroom. Chicks are going to call him out and be like, no. Like, no. Blair White walks into the women's restroom. No one's going to say anything, right? So not to say that's all about appearances, but if you're going to identify as something and expect society to recognize you as such, people that don't know you, that only have your appearance to judge you on, and that's the world you have to live in. Sorry. Like, you either pass or you don't. Like, it's not about law or societal expectations. It's about just human decency and the social contract. You got to be honest with people.
I mean, this applies not just with sexual stuff or anything. It's like, if I'm going to tell people I'm off going hunting, well, I'm going to wear hunter orange. That way they know I'm off hunting. You know, if instead I'm in a business suit and I say, yeah, I'm heading out to the woods, they're going to say you're full of shit. Right?
You say you're burying a body in the woods.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't connect. You have to look the part within reason of what you're trying to tell people that you're doing. That just makes sense.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle does a great skit on that where he talks about the difference between being something and looking like something. It's like he said, if I dress up as a policeman, right, I shouldn't be surprised if people expect me to do policeman things. Okay,
exactly.
They're not going to question if I'm a policeman. They're just going to say you are definitely a policeman. Blah, because he was actually alluding it into the form of women who say they're not slutty when all they do is dress up as slutty. Okay, so he's like, okay, so you're not a slut, yet every visual cue I see here absolutely points to that fact. Yeah. But okay, you're not that. Okay, I'll just have to take your word for it. He said, you can see where the confusion comes up, because if I dress up as a cop and people come up, oh, there's a robbery down the street, I'm like, nothing to do with me, I'm not a cop. And like, well, why are you dressed as a cop? You know, it's like, why do you look exactly like a police officer and stuff like this? It's because at the split second moment when people have to make perceptive checks and decisions, they can only go on what's in front of their eyes. And then their brain makes a whole lot of assumptions, because that's how we actually operate as a species. That's what kept us alive for hundreds of thousands of years. And we can't overturn that programming within a generation just because people saying that, oh, don't make assumptions. It's like, yeah, easy to say, not so easy to do when the pressure's on. Okay? Well, especially if I'm taking a piss.
They say it's a cliche to say don't judge a book by its cover, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is, unless the cover gives you a reason to read the book, you're not going to read the book. You know,
That's right.
If I'm interested in, Charlie Brown comics from 1960s, and there's a book filled with all the Charlie Brown comics of 1960s, but the outer cover says best tips to grow broccoli or something, like nothing's gonna like attract me to that book, like it could be the best book in the world, but the cover is completely misleading. So, there's a middle ground there. Like, yeah, don't judge the book by the cover, but the cover does definitely advertise what contains within. And you have to take that with a grain of salt.
Well, there's a difference, too, in what I would call capital and non-capital judgments. By that, I mean, in my day-to-day life, doing day-to-day things, I make tons of judgments all the time based upon observation, experience, extrapolation, where I don't know all the facts and cannot know all the facts, because guess what? We can never know all the facts. Every decision everybody makes, including me, is always made on insufficient data. You just have to wonder when enough is enough. Now, here's the thing. If I'm deciding whether or not to, I don't know, kill somebody, hopefully I'm going to know as much as humanly possible to make a good decision about that, say in a capital case, okay? But if the decision is whether or not I want to ask something out on a date that has very hairy legs, all I need to know is it's got hairy legs.
And you're allowed to not like hairy legs. They can have hairy legs. They're perfectly within their right to have hairy legs, but you don't have to like it.
Yes. And this is the thing. This is the ongoing argument, because the thing is, like, personal preference is by definition meant to be personal. So you don't get to generalize preference to other people and say, oh no, you should accept trans people, you should accept this, you should accept that, whatever, because this is what personal stuff's all about. And like I said before, I'm happy to mind my own business. Okay, but I will make decisions, like Brutus said. I'll make thousands of decisions a day based on pure observation, that then gets filtered by who I am and what my biases normally are and all this sort of stuff. And I do that because in the past that's worked for me time and time again. So I will stick to that. And why would I go out of my way to invest any sort of energy to do otherwise based on anything other than what I see in front of me? Because like James said, if you want to go to a place, say, and that means following a sign that says to town, but the sign doesn't say that at all, then why would you go down that path? It's like, okay, you can go back home, do a lot of GPS research and go, oh, hang on, that road does go down there. But that's not very practical. And this is what people don't understand about all this stuff. 99% of what they're pushing simply isn't practical. It has no practical application. It doesn't deserve the mental processing time that they're demanding or anything like that. And the other thing that they hate to admit to is that in the vast majority, on a statistical basis, it simply doesn't matter. Like I was talking about the gay vote before in Australia, about getting gay marriage and stuff. Now, the pro campaign about all this is saying that, oh, you know, former polls have shown that 75% of people are in favour of gay marriage. Until you look at the polls and you go, yeah, 75% all came from the same kind of, you know, white middle class demographic, university students, things like that, right? So yeah, you polled a bunch of university students, and guess what? They're all pro gay marriage. Now, you go, and this is what my brother brought up in his little thesis thing he wrote online. You go and talk to the Samoan community, the Polynesian community, or anything like that. These are typically very religious people. They are absolutely against the concept. Oh, but you can't say anything bad about them either, can you? So we're going to discount them entirely rather than
just erase them. Just erase them.
Because
pretend like they don't exist.
Right. Yeah, they don't exist because, unfortunately, if we have a go at them, we're kind of targeting a race, and which they are, and stuff. And so the Liberals are caught in this kind of jam where they can't deal with that. Now, the reality is, though, for the vast majority, 97, 98% of Australians, we just don't care. You can do that if you want. I've got nothing against it personally. In fact, I believe from a civic rights point of view that if you pay tax and you're a law-abiding citizen, you should be given the same rights as every other citizen in a country.
I think that sentiment is probably universal amongst all civilized societies. You know,
I think so.
Yeah. Do what you want, just don't fuck with me. I don't really care what you do with your life.
That's right. You mind your business and I'll mind my business.
Right.
You know? And
One of the big problems there with this kind of thing, though, is if you think about it, this whole problem, the fact there's any debate about it at all, comes from the fact that government is what gives you a license to marry.
Yes.
Now, where in the fuck did government get the right to tell you who in the hell you can marry and under what conditions and charge you a damn fee for it? I mean, what the hell?
Yeah. Right? That was always my contention too. Like, why does government have to be involved at all? Just do what you want. Like,
and of course, once it's a privilege doled out by government,
commit yourself to someone. You don't need the government.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God.
Is that a plane?
Darren's in the middle of a firefight over there. He's killed several people while we've been on the air.
Oh, he's outside. Right, gotcha.
Oh my God. All right. So I've adjusted some audio levels.
After we all thought we were getting run over by a truck.
Marriage was fundamentally a function of churches that a lot of governments took over from a time in past history when the church and the state were more intimately intertwined. When the church and the state separated, as they well should have, because the church and the state do different things, hopefully, that marriage should have stayed with the church since it's fundamentally a church function. If you want to get gay married, you go to the Unitarian Universalist Church and you get gay married. If you want to be married for life and no divorce allowed, then you go to a Catholic church and you get married. If you want to get married, you know, whenever you want, you go to the Las Vegas church and you get married. You know, drive through marriage, drive through divorce, you know. But it shouldn't be a government function. And then what happens is then by leaving it as a government function, then government is intimately involved in your children, in your divorce, in forcing you to pay your ex-wife to subsidize her fucking the next guy, and all this other kind of shit. And
that doesn't make sense to me. Why do you need a license to get married? Like, what business is the government? Well, obviously they need to support the law industry, you know, or the law lobby.
Well, they shouldn't be in the marriage business. It's a religious function, separation of church and state, so they shouldn't be involved.
Like, you want to get married, kids? Just have a party with your friends and call it a day. Like, you don't need permits. Bullshit. All right. So, speaking of healthy families, do you guys want to see a video?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is really heartwarming and friendly. This is good parenting. This is parents telling their kids how to masturbate, because we all needed instruction.
What?
This is progressive politics, guys. It's not pedophilia at all. It's not grooming kids to be receptive to pedophiles one bit. This is progressive politics, because kids need to be taught how to masturbate, okay? Because you don't figure it out on your own.
Am I going to kill somebody?
I did.
No.
Yeah, probably.
Or jerking off, or poking the one-eyed child.
Yeah, that's what we're in for, guys. You ready?
Whoa.
Today, we're going to be talking about masturbation.
Masturbation?
Masturbation.
Masturbation.
You kind of do it a lot. I don't know it.
Okay, what? Anyone want to comment on that so far? Like, why does creepy dad know about his daughter touching herself so much?
I don't know. Why would you even
Brutus,
bring
I'm
it up?
looking at your face, and you look like the way I looked when I first saw this.
I'm kind of struck by how ugly everybody looks, but that's okay. I understand the masturbation thing now.
Yeah. They're targeting a demographic who will obviously be masturbating for life and nothing else.
Well, you know, let's look at this. Let's look at the screen that's on display at the moment. We have a obviously fat lesbian mother.
Face of them as well.
Two daughters, one that is obviously not white, and the other that is obviously ginger. So, what the fuck? Is this a lesbian mom that adopted these girls to indoctrinate them and to teach them how to masturbate? Or did she just fuck an Irish guy and a black guy and just decided, fuck them, I'm going to teach them how to masturbate?
Oh, God.
I'm trying to read her shirt. Maybe that will give us some
Can't
clues.
even,
Yeah, there's a lot of things to unpack about this video.
Yeah.
I love it if they turn around and went, mind your own fucking business.
Yeah.
I mean, if my mother or my father ever wanted to teach me how to masturbate, I would have died from embarrassment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, same here. Either I would have died or they would have died. But there wouldn't be the same number of people leaving the room. I'm telling you right now.
No.
It's just
one of those things.
Time needed to be taught how to masturbate is the question.
No.
No, you kind of figure it out on your own. And your parents will respectfully ignore the fact that you're doing it.
Yes.
And, let you just go about your business and deal with, like this is pedophile grooming 101, in my opinion. There's nothing benevolent about this. This is clearly the result of deranged minds that like to sexualize kids.
Is when you touch your privates in different ways to make yourself feel good. Isn't it?
Yeah, look at the kid's expression.
Look at the kids. Oh my God.
Like, why are you talking to me about this? Like this is so fucking sick. I hate everything about this.
Right?
People say choking the chicken.
Okay,
Have you heard of that?
never heard that.
Dad, I don't want to talk to you about this.
Very rude to chickens.
See,
A guy might put some lotion on.
Oh my God. All right. stepmom
puts the
porn?
lotion on its skin. No.
Like, is this
Don't do
not
that.
set up for fucking incest stepmom porn? Like,
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I am kind of noticing kind of a theme here.
right? Like, why is she
Yeah.
like? She's gonna give this fucking 9-year-old kid instructions how to jack off.
And what's with the lotion? I mean, I'm assuming that's
What the fuck is wrong with her?
I'm assuming that's a little girl. Most lotions, if you put them on your privates, are gonna sting like a motherfucker unless it's designed to be touching your privates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Need lube.
I know you don't. You make your own. Damn it.
That's what women's mouths were invented
Don't mean
for.
to brag on anything.
Saliva's a great lube. Just saying.
Yeah.
They're also robbing it. They're also stealing the development away from them. It's that like realization of it itself as you realize what you're doing. You know, when you're dead young, and it's all part of learning and growing. They're stealing that from them.
Yeah, you definitely don't need an adult to show you how to pleasure yourself, especially an adult of the opposite sex. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is fucked, dude. That is
I'm not
fucked.
sure. Is this a girl, or a girl and a boy with long hair or something?
Well, yeah, this poor guy, this poor kid is gonna be like forced to be transgender in 3 years.
And up and down like
Every man she's been
Like,
with has had to use lube. That's why she's saying it to him.
Well, what's gonna happen is he's gonna be totally grossed out by his mom, like simulating jacking him off, and she's gonna assume that he's a woman as a result of that.
Yeah,
And-
because he's not going to want to deal with chicks. Yeah.
Kids
Like,
are going to rebel against this shit. Kids,
It's gonna be
like,
something, yeah, really convoluted and fucked up, and a
nature
result.
restores, you know what I mean? Natural order does restore, and kids will rebel against this shit.
Why are they all sitting in the same place anyway? On the same couch.
Yeah,
the
that's
same
that.
table.
Low budget.
You're basically quite a bit.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen a channel called Backroom Auditions, but they have the same couch every time.
That's true.
It doesn't end. It ends.
This set
pretty,
doubled as a porn
graphically.
set. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
human slavery.
Yeah. It reminds me of this picture with a woman with feminism. Said, I need feminism because in sex education class, we spoke about the clothes we never learned about. And I was
Well,
like,
your microphone sucks. We can barely hear you.
Yeah, you need to speak closer to it.
okay,
That's all.
that's better.
There we go.
The woman shouted, I need feminism because and it says, I need feminism because in sex education class, we spoke a lot about the penis, but we never learned a thing about the clitoris.
Redundant, because after Islamification, they cut them all off.
How young do you think this girl is? 6, 7?
I think she's too young.
About 8 or
for
9.
this discussion. Yeah.
Right. Like, can you off camera? Can you just imagine like some really gross pedophile, like fucking just being like, "Ooh, yeah, talk to your girl about masturbation." Like, this is so fucking disgusting.
And you can kind of stimulate your body. It makes you feel good.
It's kind of like the inside out penis. Or it goes up, right? And then ours stays out.
You can use.
Oh, these poor kids. These poor kids. I feel so bad for kids of social justice warriors.
Don't get me wrong, like teaching but as they get older that it's supposed to be a good thing, it's not supposed to be a bad thing, you know what I mean?
I didn't make any of that out, Don.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's the thing that goes with the instruction as well, as apart from the entire of it all, is that what they're really doing is they're trying to do the reverse of what was done traditionally, which was parents would frown upon this with children because it indicated sexuality and stuff like this sort of thing. often for religious reasons or whatever. But funnily enough, that is repressing it in that regard is 1,000 times healthier in my regard than what they're talking about here, even though it's not a great thing. What we usually have today is, like James said, there's a polite ignorance of it, where it's like, well, that's totally private time for them, nothing to do with me. Yeah, okay, whatever. We've all been there. We've all done that. Everything like that.
It's not one of those things you really talk about with your parents. Like, they just need to accept it as part of growing up and let nature run its course. Like, they don't need to be involved in that.
And in practice, anything that we have had in terms of some sort of repressive thing about masturbation has not really been enforced, except to the extent that a handful of nut job doctors decided to make, whatever that thing, make circumcision the thing. So
the cornflake guy,
so much. But other than that, but for the most part, in human relations between parents and children, it has been left alone, other than saying, hey, if you do that too much, you'll go blind. And what, can I just do it till I need glasses? That's the end of it.
Exactly. You have to ask yourself, what was the motivation to make this video? It's not like there's a crisis of kids out there that don't know how to masturbate.
It's repressing them.
There's no demand for this.
You need to speak closer to your microphone, Don. I can't hear you.
Don, we can barely hear you.
Yeah, some of them are too old and some of them are too young.
It doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter how old or young you are. You don't need to have this conversation with your parents. Like, this is not the birds and the bees. This is you figuring out your own body, and they don't need to be a part of that. Like birds and the bees is a completely different story. That's a conversation that needs to happen. This is not. That's how I feel about it. All right, let's move on.
Intrusive. It's totally intrusive.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's totally intrusive of the.
Yes, it is.
It really is.
Part of growing up as an adjusted adult is having that sense of personal privacy. You need to have a bubble where, you have that ability to let people in or not as you choose. And it starts at a very young age. Like, you can snoop through your kids' drawers for drugs, if they're 12 years old or whatever. That's not what we're talking about here. Like, that's a different thing.
Boys, they're called adult toys.
Okay, yeah, now we're showing them dildos. Isn't that nice? How old is that girl?
God.
Girls that age don't need dildos to masturbate. They just rub their finger back and forth like this across their clit.
And do you notice? You'll notice that there's no fake vaginas that they're showing to the boys. It's only going to be.
It's all dildos.
It's only going to be cool to women. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got something blocked out over there.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some pink device blocked out over there. I think it's an anal vibrator.
It's a big dick. It's a big dildo.
It's disgusting though, isn't it? It is really wrong.
Look at that kid. He doesn't want to touch it. He doesn't want anything to do with it. And Dad's like, when you get home, I'm going to show you the other version of this. So get comfortable touching it now. Like, that's all I take away from this. That's all I take away from this. Like here, I want you to touch this big dick. In what universe, like if you're trying to like talk to your kid about sexual education, are you going to be like, here's a big dick, touch it, unless you're trying to groom them to touch another dick, like this is so fucking sick. There's nothing about this that is.
It's the mentality, the feminist mentality, it's the ideal. It's like trying to install your ideals of sexuality as a liberational thing, which is progress now, intruding into their development. They should be discovering this for themselves.
Yeah, a lot of this is part about teaching kids to be sexually indiscriminate. It's not just about whether or not they can masturbate, because they don't need instructions in that. So there has to be some other agenda. And I think it might be part of basically saying, hey, look, you know, go fuck whomever. You know,
Well,
whatever,
no,
you know.
I think it's worse than that. I think Rosie O'Donnell here is teaching her daughters, you don't need a man. Look at this fucking thing. You can just fuck each other and fuck your mom. And that's all you need. And I think that's where this is going.
It seems very strange.
Hard penis. That's why you don't need a boy.
Oh,
Hey, bingo! There we go.
vindicated 5 seconds later. Jesus Christ.
Well, damn. Well, in fairness, at that age, they should not be having sex with a boy. One
Right,
of
they
them
don't
used to
need
be
a boy
like 9.
But they probably also shouldn't be having sex with a rather large pink dildo either.
Exactly.
You know where Rosie's going with this, though? She's like, no, you just need to touch me, and I'll give you this when you get old enough. Like, that's... This is so fucking... Like, take for a second the conceit that homosexuality is a natural phenomenon that occurs randomly in people at a certain percentage, okay?
Okay.
What is it about these girls that makes her think they're prepubescent? They haven't even shown a sex drive yet, right? What is it about this mom that is so sure that they need reassurance that they don't need boys?
Because virginity isn't real, and the social construct of the world these days. So it's like she's saying, "Oh, here's this dildo. Go and break your own virginity in." It's like,
yeah,
you're trying to say them. You know what I mean? What do you mean?
It's pedophile grooming, as far as I'm concerned.
But also, yeah, it does make it so that the girl, I mean, a girl who, I mean, I understand that there shouldn't be such a thing as what I would call virginity worship. But at the same time, there is a value to virginity or low sex partner count for certain scenarios. I mean, obviously, if you're just looking for a girl to lay, and you're going to lay her this week, and next week you're going to lay another girl, her sex partner count, the higher the better, probably, because you're just looking for a great sexual experience. But if you're looking for a girl that you're going to, say, make babies with, her sex partner count actually does make a difference. And virginity actually can be, to some extent, valuable. And that thing being jammed up those little girls' thingy doodles is going to de-virginalize them effectively. And that is not a good idea, in my opinion.
Well, especially when administered by Rosie here, which is clearly intent, you know. Like, you don't need men here. When we get home after this video, we're going to talk more about this, and I'm going to show you why you don't need men. And your mom is all you need. Like, this is so sick. Like, I'm not even trying to fantasize about this. Like, this is gross. Like, this is, why else would you bring your two little girls, whether they're adopted or not, into a situation like this to have this conversation, other than you want to do something terrible? Like, I don't get it. Like, there's no reason.
Yeah, there's no good that can come of this at all. It's just,
you know, my daughter at this point is 21, and I have a huge box of toys, for lack of a better word, you know, for whips and chains and for girls who like to be tied up and stuff like that. She has never laid eyes on that shit. It's locked in my gun safe. I mean, I keep the shit locked in the safe with my guns. I don't want anybody laying eyes on it, you know? I mean, I certainly wouldn't want Hannah to know.
Oh, God, no. Jeez. Oh, no.
Well, and did you notice there's no fathers with daughters going, here's how you masturbate. You rub your clit, and then you stick your finger in and point your finger up a little, you know, upwards so you hit the G-spot. And make sure, you know, like, none of that's happening. It's just mom teaching boy how to jack off. Like, you know, like, it's all one way. Like, there's because you know, if it was reversed, if it was a daughter teaching, or if it was a father teaching a daughter how to jack or how to masturbate, that people would be all over it. People would be all over it, calling foul. But fuck, you can have a fucking attractive woman teaching a little boy how to jack off all day, and no one will be like, oh, no, it's the beauty of motherhood. Isn't it so beautiful? It's so beautiful. Being a mother is beautiful. Everything you do is beautiful. It's so magical and beautiful.
I have my doubts as to whether or not she's his real mom.
I don't know. I wouldn't doubt it. She probably, you know, he looks like he could be from a black father and from her. Like, she looks
Maybe.
Puerto Rican or something to herself. So, like, whatever. Like, I'm not going to try and go there. But the fact of the matter is, you got no business having these conversations with your boy. Like, this is something he needs to figure out on his own.
No, she wants to play with penises. That's what she's got a husband for.
Yeah, the only reason you would have this conversation is if you're grooming him to fuck him at home.
Oh, no wedding ring.
Oh, yeah. Do you know why it's curved upward? Because inside of my vagina, there's the G spot, and you have to curve your fucking finger up. Like,
No, she's
Jesus
actually
Christ.
looking to use a prostate massage gizmo.
Oh God.
That's what that is.
Look how
Okay.
uncomfortable he is. Look at his face. He's like, he does not want to be there. He's like,
No.
can we just go to McDonald's already?
Yeah, that's right.
I told you it was a back massage. That was a back. That was. I really thought that was a back massage. No.
And now he knows. Now he knows what it was. Like, good. Good job.
Shattered him.
Why did you lie to him in the first place? Were you just waiting to drop that on him on camera? Like, yeah. Poor
Man,
kid.
This is disgusting. Yeah,
Where
here's
are your
another
real parents?
prepubescent child.
There's different. That's like pulse.
Stroke it up and down gently. Look me in the eyes now.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, I can't take anymore.
This is awful.
Isn't that fucking ridiculous? 92,000 downvotes, so there's that at least.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. See, this is exactly right. So normal citizens of the world tend to agree this is not right.
But the problem is 23,000 upvotes.
Can you see the first comment? Oh, come on, people, don't project your traumas and taboos, encouraging people to report this video. So obviously lots of people have. It's good to normalize sex and masturbation. There's nothing wrong with talking about it and learning what it is. If parents
That's
don't
the
talk
thing.
about these topics with their kids, they'll learn it
Anyone
from
that
porn
doesn't have an
pages.
agenda knows that you don't have to normalize masturbation. It normalizes itself.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. Sorry,
That video looks white supremacist to me. That's the way to get it off of YouTube. Call it white supremacist.
Yeah, there you true. Good point. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Just report it as a
use the
Nazi
buzzwords.
page.
Don't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Knee jerk. Boop, boop. Pavlov's little dogs over there at YouTube. Make use of it.
I can't believe it. Fucking. That's big. That's huge. How's it going to fit? The dad should have said, "Well, son, ask your mom." So I'm glad we can all have a nice joke about this. That's the state of our right now. Is there? Put it under.
Oh dear. Oh god, there's a whole range of videos about it. That's no, don't.
Yeah, there's a gold mine.
This is even worse.
Material here. We'll have to go back to this channel sometime.
It's even worse on BuzzFeed.
Oh my god, I know, right? Like that's the problem with Gawker going out of business is worse perverts came up to take their place. Right?
Yeah.
This is so reprehensible on every level, and there's tons of like pro pedophilia grooming stuff that is really like starting to become more popular now. And I hate to say the conservatives are right. You know, like they said, as soon as you normalize gay marriage, they're going to start normalizing sex with furniture and kids and shit. And we all laughed at them. I laughed at them. But now this shit is happening.
Well, generally speaking, for the most part, a kid's biological father is supposed to be his or her guardian against all this kind of shit. I'm not horribly shocked to see a bunch of single moms acting like this, but I am really shocked at the dad. That's really strange, and there's something really unusual there. Most cases where a kid is sexually abused, it is not by the father. It can be, but in most cases, it is by a relative or a school teacher or something like that. It is not by the father. The father is there to protect them from that, and so that one kind of shocked me.
Well, he did kind of look like a sicko to me, though. I mean,
Well, I mean, there's always going to be outliers, but there's a tried and true thing that we're aware of called the Westermark effect, which is the natural progression of how familiarity breeds sexual contempt within families. There is a reason why you're not sexually attracted to siblings and parents and stuff, because through your developmental years, you're having a very different type of relationship with those people, and including not talking about sex stuff directly if you can help it too much, and as a result, that then gets set like a foundation in a house where there's a natural aversion to incest, right? And what they find instead is that, say kids are separated from their parents when 2 years old or something, then come back into their parents' life as adults. That Westermark effect isn't in effect
they end up fucking and shit.
Yeah, because that Westermark effect never had the time to develop and cement itself. You know, once again, it reinforces the importance of family cohesion and things like that. When you're bringing,
what you're saying is incest is a social construct.
Well, the traditional family helps prevent it.
Right. No, and it's a good social construct.
Yeah, they're not all bad, that's for sure. But there's importance. Look, the darker part of my job is I have to occasionally work with people who are on sex registries, okay, and stuff. And part of my job is to be part of the watchdog process for that. So to report any suspicious behaviour, or if they're doing stuff against the act, basically, the legal framework that's put in place that's meant to minimise convicted sexual predators of having contact with minors and things like that. There's a whole lot of stuff put in place. And thankfully now in our country, we have a very, very comprehensive approach to this that comes down on it super hard as soon as there's the most minor of infringements that may or probably occur. So I've had to do, additional training and all this sort of stuff. So when James talks about grooming and I see stuff like this, it's like, yeah, that exactly fits all definitions of it. There's no ambiguity about it at all. It's just not right. It's just wrong. And you're messing with nature. You're messing with a normal parental offspring relationship, all that sort of stuff. There's certain things you are responsible for teaching your kids, and there are certain things that you don't need to do because biology takes care of it for you. And like Dawn said, you're actually abusing the development of the child in that regard. You're actually instilling or projecting. You're getting into a part of their life that's meant to be taken care of naturally. And yeah, I watch those little kids, and you look at the looks on their faces. They're all revulsed and repelled by these conversations their parents are trying to have.
Well, this is I've been working on a theory for a while, and this is something that kind of segues well into this, and I don't want to get too deeply into it. Maybe we can do a whole podcast about it sometime. But I think there's been a rise in porn statistics in terms of incest porn. Okay, this is a huge thing. It's like the biggest thing ever, right? But it also, like, if you look at the decline of relationships, it coincides completely. Like, you can actually compare a graph, and they are completely reactive to each other. Like, incest porn goes up when relationship health goes down. And I think a big part of it is incest porn has a lot to do with just the gentler side of caring for someone. I've talked to a lot of people, and I myself have kind of had these thoughts as well. Like, you take this incest porn and you take the family relationship out of it, and you actually have a healthy adult relationship. Healthy sexual relationship where they're open and honest with each other. But it's through this taboo that makes it more appealing to people. So it draws people in. But what really appeals to people and makes them stay and look for more is they realize, oh my God, here's a porn where, the guy's not smacking his dick on her face and, you know, all the smacking her ass. These are people that are actually like kissing and holding each other and showing actual affection, like and it's through this guise of like mother and son or brother and sister or whatever, like, which is kind of gross or totally gross to all of us. But you take that aspect out of it, and what you're seeing is an adult healthy relationship that a lot of people really crave. And I hope I'm explaining it well. And I'd like to go into this this could probably dominate a whole podcast on how porn reflects the nature of societal's relationships and what people are craving and what they're not getting and what they're reaching out for. And I think there's a direct correlation in the breakdown in relationships between men and women and the type of porn that's being consumed and how the rise in incest porn relates to it.
That would be worth exploring. Yeah. It does sound interesting. It's not one of the things I've dug into, but it does make sense that if you think about it, if the only thing that makes it verboten is the incest, the porn would look very much just like normal sex, whereas most porn looks pretty dysfunctional.
Yes, exactly. There's kind of a mirror effect almost, you know, like the taboo stuff is more appealing in a sense if you take the taboo aspect out than the regular porn. Because how many times are you gonna walk into a room and a girl's like, "Give me your dick," you know, and here's my 3 friends, let's join in. That's never gonna happen.
Line up with these other 3 guys and do all this to me. But, and
and so it's one of those things that I think deserves a lot of discussion in terms of, and this is one of those discussions about sexuality that I think need to happen, especially in terms of today's society and the roles men and women and how we approach relationships with each other, and what people are. Porn is a really great indicator of what is on people's minds. You know, like if people really like lesbians in a certain area, then you know that there's like a preponderance of, you know, probably a lot of guys that are, I don't know, like there's a lot of conclusions you can draw from that. It's like if you look at someone's spam folder, you can tell a lot more about them than their LinkedIn profile. You know, that kind of thing.
I check my LinkedIn profile about once every 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
gay men don't do it for me though. The thought of 2 fellas together.
Well, and honestly, lesbians don't do it for me either. 2 chicks without me in between them does nothing for me. No. I don't get it either. Okay. Let's move on to something besides incest.
So we've done suicide and incest. Where can we go from here?
Suicide, grooming for pedophilia, and incest.
Dark, a lot of dark subjects.
Yeah, man.
Good to see you guys.
Great to see you guys.
Found the level.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Joara, join up on Be Social. I'm not on Facebook.
Good place, man. Be Social is awesome.
BESOC.net.
That streamy thing.
Well, you know,
I just joined that streamy thing that
Oh, stream.me. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that. Like that's
I just put the URL in the chat thing.
Trying to figure it out. You guys don't even know.
Yeah, look at the URL in the chat thing, Joara. You'll see that's the address. bsoc.net.
okay.
Come on over. The water's fine.
Fun, yeah.
The coffee's great.
Like the Wild
And
West.
the creator talks to us.
Yeah. I like that. I'm trying to look for a video to watch. Anyone have any suggestions?
Yeah. Going back to like suicide not being something to be looking up to. You know, do you remember Amanda Todd when Amanda Todd killed herself?
Yeah, I don't talk about suicide anymore. It makes me want to kill myself.
I know, I just wanted to make a point. She was like revered as an inspiration and everything after she killed herself. And I was like, well, I followed that whole case from the start, and she kind of her own slutty behaviour and her own histrionics online on the internet on YouTube is what brought all our attention to her. And she was only put on a pedestal after she killed herself. And like, oh, she's got like Amanda Todd's evenings, Amanda Todd's she is an inspiration. Well, that's not for a little girl to aspire to. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for a sob story ending the person overcoming in the end. You know what I mean? But that story is not satisfying. Girl died. But it's nothing to say to a little girl that's something to aspire to.
No. No, that's almost like well, the message that you can send in that respect is, and this happens with celebrity suicides all the time, is that like celebrity anything, if people buy into the cult of celebrity, then they end up buying into that bullshit as well. And yeah, it's a pretty dark path, you know. It's just don't do it. You know, I was going to say, James, can we go back to actually? We never actually got to have a look at the Lacey Green thing.
Oh my God! Yeah, let's finish that up.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
I will smack your ass, woman.
Now that Lacey Green's supposedly red-pilled.
Oh yeah, let's finish that up.
Like.
Has she actually been red-pilled? If she
Well,
has,
well,
she's
that's
not
up
on
for
MTV
debate.
anymore.
It's fucking Chris Reagan, so that's
I've taken the red pill. I
That's
think
a
we're
red
gonna
pill
have an
injection.
orgy.
Which is dedicated to helping young people who believe that their sexuality was bad or wrong, that they're less than because of their gender or sexual orientation.
Wow, doesn't she look really nice?
for Lacey. Yeah,
Yeah.
seen her look worse.
Only saying.
I don't know. Like I was saying earlier, she's average. Like you saw her at a bar, you'd flirt with her, but like she's not anything special.
No, but do you remember when she used to pull them faces and it was like,
What she
like
is,
normal?
She's mastered the art of kindergarten teacher voice, which is
and she's clean. She's got
Listen,
this clean look about her.
Oh my God, it's been amazing.
The other thing I noticed is she's not showing off her cleavage so much now.
Yes, funny what having a boyfriend will do.
Yeah. Well, she's been called out on it enough times now.
People really seem to be listening to each other. It's just a shit show. So I went down the rabbit hole of anti-SJW videos, and I found that some are pretty disrespectful. That's not all of the channels. I've recently found anti-SJW channels that are well cited and makes interesting points.
Oh my God, this is where she crossed the line. This is where guys like Steve Shives and all her fucking feminist allies turned on her. They're like, holy shit, you're talking to them? You're actually talking to them? Like, those are racist, bigoted homophobes that want to commit genocide on you. Like, why are you talking to them? You're a betrayer.
That's where she opened her eyes right there.
Yeah. She's loving it. She's a media whore. Like, if there's anything she's good at, it's marketing.
Mm.
All right, so she did this. Let's play her follow-up video, actually. It's a little bit more insightful. She did one after this, after the backlash.
I think that video was going to be some things. But I gotta say, like, what? You know, it's so funny and, like, start
Shitlords.
versus online. Like, in my real life, my friends were supportive, shots of whiskey, a little talk shit, questions, but overall, good talk. Online.
Holy shit, Chase just joined.
All right, Shitlord.
Say hi to Chase, everyone.
Right, I'm gotta go. My phone's dead.
Oh, okay.
Don, you're leaving because you hate black people. We all know it.
That's right.
That's horrible. Chase, good to see you, buddy.
He's still
Unmute
on
your
mute at
mic.
the moment.
He's muted.
Okay, all right. We're gonna keep playing Lacey Green then.
Yeah, she's prettier than Chase.
I will.
I
agree.
don't know.
If I had to choose faces to wake up to, yeah.
Mm.
On the other side of
Oh, he's getting his headphones.
brittle and creamy, and from the feminist side, I have seen similar tone deafness. You guys may have seen some of the things that people posted after that video. I spent upwards of 40 hours the last 2 weeks talking to YouTubers on phone, talking to people on Skype, just having so many conversations about this, and it has gotten to the point where I'm just sort of going round and round and round, trying to explain why I see value in talking to people who are hostile to feminism. If people
Like, you notice what she said there? Like, she's trying to explain value of talking to people that don't see the value of feminism. Like that's the conversation she's having. Like they're not even having conversations about the value of feminism. Just talking to people who question the value of feminism. That's how deeply ingrained the cult that she was in.
Yeah.
At this point, I feel like, I can't do anything. Some of the background, the personal background, that has brought me here to this point. It has been such a tremendous amount of shit. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. And it makes sense, because I haven't really talked about that. It's really hard for me to talk about, like, I'm going to be honest with you guys.
She got a lot of shit from SJWs. A ton.
Please be decent. Internet. Inward. I've seen some shit. I'll start with it. For a while, some of the more fringy aspects of feminism that can be found online have given me. I started my channel to share sexuality information, to talk about sexual politics and so on. But over time, thinking about that harder. It's gotten to the point where the simplest topics in sex ed, the simplest language even.
Okay, so this is where she's kind of like explaining away, like she's not being entirely honest here. I don't think. Like she tried to capitalize on feminism when she thought it was going to work for her, and now she realized feminism is toxic and terrible, and they eat their own. And now she's trying to say, "Oh, I was just trying to do sexual education, blah blah blah," which to an extent she did, but she's
Some
not.
of her earlier videos were pretty much sex ed, and some of them were pretty cool actually, and they weren't very political.
Yeah. No, I mean, her first stuff, her original stuff was actually pretty good,
Like, what do you call it? The withdrawal technique, for example. She had videos on that were pretty good.
Yeah, it was only when she started like taking advantage of the political climate for her own advantage that it was like, okay, fuck you. And she did all these videos about being a feminist and why she's a victim because she has a vagina and all this stuff. And now she realized, oh, no, maybe that's not the case. And now they're all turning on her.
Yeah.
Great. Some people, I did, and will continue to do my best and, accommodate needs and requests and back to them.
Respect the feminist conversation.
Anti would be fair to say, well, I disagree with Tom, pandering asshole. But I don't see this as pandering. To me, this kind of stuff. And I try to do it to the best that I can, but it got to this point where, at one point I'm listening to like 1 million different people's viewings on this stuff. It got unhealthy. Okay? Like I was obsessing over every word that came out of my mouth, every way it could be misconstrued or accidentally cause harm.
No, I believe she's being 100% honest here. This is, I have no problem believing this would happen.
Relatively minor infractions like this is disturbing to me. Many people that I've talked to on the anti-side, they have stories like this. Anybody, justice and patient. We have these conversations. This should be a flag for some deeper inspection. Closer probing it in my mind. Because in my book, this is not feminism. This is bullying. And on a few occasions, it has made me scared for my physical safety. This is one time I was at a conference, walking out to the parking lot. These 3 people.
It's not just toxic masculinity.
Sat me down. They accused me of contributing to the violent deaths of trans people. What's their reasoning? Well, when I was 17, I made a fan video for Chris Crocker. He used the T-word to describe himself, and I did not know that was offensive. And I apologized afterward. But 5 years later, there we were in this parking lot. Not only did they, seem to imply that accidentally using offensive words is same as literally killing people, but then they threatened me. They threatened to kick my cis ass. Now, I've seen this shit online, but that was the first time I ever saw it in person. Wow.
All right, so that's a red pill right there, right? Like, no matter who you are, you go through that, you're like, oh shit. Like, they turn on you quick, don't they?
Yeah, piranhas. They will absolutely eat you alive.
You said the T word 6 years ago. I'm going to kick your ass because that contributes to violence against me somehow.
Yeah.
Well, this is a technique that is used very heavily on the left, at least in this country, which is the equation of words with violence. So they think that if I say some set of words, any set of words that they have decided to invest with special meaning, that this set of words is in and of itself violence, and therefore any actual physical violence they take against me is justifiable self-defense. So if, for example, I say something really radical, like, you should delay childbirth until after marriage if you want children to have the best shot in life. That is hate speech. It is an act of violence, and therefore they are perfectly justified in killing me for it.
You hate women if you say that, yes.
Yeah, well, they're perfectly justified in killing me for this. And
even though the end result of what you said would only make women's lives better.
Exactly. And so I'm not saying don't be sluts. I'm just saying don't have children until you're married, right? So I'm not infringing anybody's sexuality or anything. I'm just saying, hey, bring up kids in the right way. But that is hate speech. I know it's hate speech because a professor in Philadelphia was recently, received this big denunciation and everything for saying that.
Yeah.
As white supremacy, no less. For saying to do that, which her stuff had nothing to do with race. And so Lacey is experiencing this sort of thing where her words are equated to violence, which therefore justifies violence against her. And the thing is, the slightest little traveling over the line makes you no different in their mind than Adolf Hitler.
Yes.
You will be treated as Hitler. When they say punch a Nazi, they're talking about punching Lacey Green. And this is what she has to understand.
Yeah. She's learning. So anyway, Chase, you're live now. You with us?
Yeah, I am.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Very good. Hey, did you find kettlebells or no?
No, I didn't get to find
kettlebells. Are you waiting for me to send you some?
Yep.
Okay, I'll send you some later this week then.
All right, thanks. Oh, and by the way, I would like to give a shout out to my upstairs neighbor because she totally sounds like a porn star when her husband is blowing her back out. That shit was dope last night. You hear me?
Fantastic. Okay, so big shout out to Porn Voice there. We appreciate everything you're doing.
Right.
Keep up the good work. All right.
Always. Right.
Make sure you keep Chase awake at night. That's the important thing. And we'll send you a card in the post. Yeah.
All right.
You got to come earlier next week. You got to come on earlier next week. I got to get ready to go for the Tariq Nasheed youth stream.
Tariq Nasheed, you did a stream with him?
No, I listened to his.
Boy, that guy is hilarious.
He's on from 10 to 12 on Sundays. I just listened to him. I don't know. I mean,
Tariq's the character.
He talks a lot of black power and stuff, but his mother-in-law is white. He lives in a $1.5 million house.
He makes
Sure.
a hell of a black Nazi. You know, the first rule of being a Nazi is that you don't intermarry with the race you want to destroy. You know, so if you're going to be a black Nazi, you're not allowed to marry white chicks. You got to marry black chicks and keep the race pure. You know, it's a racial purity thing if you're going to be a Nazi.
Right. At least that's how it's supposed to work. I don't know these new rules now.
Either that or they kick you out of the Nazi club.
He's like subliminally causing violence, but it seems like nobody can see it. He's like, well, this sister was beat down, and if this happened to a white person, he would have showed up at the person's door like they did. Like he talks about how what was that? The standoff they had where the armed citizens were standing up to the cops and stuff.
Way out west, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but he uses it in examples from other races. Every time something like he'll go through like 5,000 police cases, and he'll find like 3 cases where a black person was gaffled up or shot by a white cop, and then he'll go on and he'll make a show and be like, yeah, this white cop shot this black kid, and this happened to an Indian or an Ethiopian or any other race, they would have stormed down to the officer's house. And you see how we as blacks, we march in protest, but you don't see any other groups doing that. It's like he's subliminally trying to cause a revolution.
Well, I think that's really, really, really unhealthy. I mean, right now, think about, because leftists have put a ton of money and a ton of effort and a ton of organization into pushing this kind of racial narrative as a replacement for class warfare. And that's what it really is. And instead of, you can go through all the Communist Party stuff right on their website and replace the word bourgeois with white and the word proletariat with blacks and minorities. And it's basically straight off the Communist Party thing. And what they're trying to do is foment race war. Because that's how they feel that they're going to have their dictatorship of the proletariat.
But look, I'm saying I'm for justice, and I don't think it's right if someone gets shot down or whatever. But the thing is, they use whatever fits their narrative. Because you won't talk about like the Kanika girl being in the freezer because it was all blacks involved, or so-called black on black crime and stuff, and like 1,000 murders a month in Chicago. Like they won't mention that, but what they do is they'll go over like 5,000 police cases and they'll find 1 or 2 or 3, and then they'll blow it up like it's happening everywhere. Like if you listen to it, somebody, we can't walk the streets, we're being shot down in the streets. We're all prisoners of war. We're all in danger. And like they make it seem like every black person that goes outside might get shot down by the cops.
And of course, it's actually very rare.
By picking certain cases and blowing them up. But like if a white cop shoots a white guy, say like 25, they won't say anything. Or if a black cop shoots a white person, they won't say anything unless they come on and say, well, black man shot this white woman, he's going right to jail. But when a white cop shoots a black person, he gets immediate GoFundMe money and goes free. It's like they pick certain things.
Yeah, cherry picking. Yeah.
Well, you can see the same thing on the white Nazi websites. What they do is they go through and they will cherry pick specific incidents in order to. They will skip over the 500,000 times every day that whites and blacks and whomever interacts peacefully and productively, and they're friends and they have fun and all that other kind of shit. They'll skip over all that and they'll find this one case that happened today, and where a black guy hurt a white guy, and they'll put that shit on their website as though that represents all interactions between whites and blacks, and it's bullshit. We can't buy into it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's intellectual dishonesty.
Oh, it is. Absolutely, 100%. I agree. It absolutely is, because it is the opposite of statistical representation. It's the opposite of a true message. Like, usually well, I say usually, in the past, there have actually been political movements that were being pushed to try and stop certain problems from happening, as opposed to today, where all the flavor is to catalyze problems into bigger problems. It's to, like, escalate all the time. The Steve Crowder guys and also another group at the same time both did infiltration stuff, or undercover stuff, so to speak, with Antifa, right? To get down to the basics of, okay, what are they really all about? And why are they suddenly on the Department of Homeland Security shit list? And the reasons became very obvious. It's because some of the nut jobs in there have caches of weapons, illegal weapons. They're trying to teach people how to provoke and to instigate violent encounters. We're talking about people who rock up to protests who have already they fill up plastic bottles with cement and let it set. So they already have pre-made missiles to throw at people and things like this. This is all premeditation. This is all absolutely about escalating something to draw attention, okay? They can't draw attention through reasoned debate or anything like that. So they're going to draw attention to it by violence on the street. Now, of course, their biggest wet dream was that whole Charlottesville thing about, like, oh, there's a bunch of people protesting, some of whom happen to be Nazis, and we're going to absolutely maximize the coverage of that by instigating as much violence as possible as a result of that clusterfuck, And then I looked at the aftermath of it and what went wrong as far as actually managing that particular protest went. And it started from the very simple fact that the protest ended up being held in an area where it was never meant to be held. Okay, usually it was going to be a completely separate area. So, and what like you usually do, if you're going to protest something, you have one group in one part of town, you have another group in another part of town. You don't compress them into the same area. Okay.
The police deliberately did that.
Yes, and they did that. The police deliberately did that. The mayor was found culpable in being involved in that process. And so as a result, you are lighting the fuse for them. You are making an interaction where there is no other recourse but violence, because these people have already been talking tough, and now you've given them the exact platform they need to reach each other and do all that sort of shit. And it was really, really, really disheartening to see that. And also, too, of course, the actual police response was very mediocre. I certainly know enough about the training in crowd control to understand how police have to operate, because they're always outnumbered 100 to 1. But even some of that stuff was not even employed, not even on a token level. To happen, they just let two mobs go at each other, and that was it. And it's the opposite of how our society's meant to work.
But that was a choice on their part. I think that was orchestrated. I think that what the police did was orchestrated in order to create some sort of incident occurring.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. They're all culpable in that process. They all made a conscious decision to go, do you know what? We're going to create this, and once it's out of control, then we can use the excuse of it's out of our hands.
Well, yeah.
Right?
And the thing is, this helps to create an environment where people, through what they see on the media, become afraid. They become afraid to walk out their door because a black man is afraid he's going to be shot by a cop because white cops are executing black men just for fun. Or a white guy or a white guy walks out of his house, he thinks he's going to be attacked by a mob of blacks just because he was born white. When in the reality, this sort of thing almost never happens. In a nation of 350 million people, there's probably 8 questionable police shootings a year. Every one of them is tragic, but it's actually very small. And, there's very few cases of, a white guy getting killed by a gang of black guys. It happens, but it's very rare when you consider our population.
Yeah,
but people have this perception of fear. And here's the thing. You can't make me hurt you by making me mad at you. You can't make me hurt you by calling me names. The one way on earth that will absolutely guarantee I will do everything in my power to hurt you is scare me. Okay?
Yes.
Make me feel you're going to hurt or kill me, and I will act. And that is what this is all about. It's about scaring people. And so to appeal to them at the most primal level, to cause them to act violently.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to the podcast, like he's got one tonight, and then there's another couple. He says like We're being shut down in the streets. That's why stepping outside, any of us could become a hashtag. Our crime is cool. It's being melanated.
It's
We're
funny
being
that you
shut
brought.
down in the streets. Philando Castile. He be like, Philando Castile had a gun license and he was shut down and the NRA didn't step forward. And you guys,
the NRA should have.
And he's like, you guys are protesting and praying. Stop protesting. Stop praying. These other groups don't put up with that. They get laws changed, and it's like he's just like really trying to like, but like he tries really hard every week to find like 1 or 2 new cases to keep the thing going, you know, to keep the
It's
because like he's got to, and like sometimes like if he's low on like black man shot down by white cop, he'll even go over to like the UK.
He's on a worldwide search.
It's happening in London.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's horrible, and that kind of stuff. People need to be smart enough to understand that that information is cherry picked, and it's intended to create a fear that will inspire violence, and it's wrong. And you know, people need to contextualize that information.
But there's a lot of videos. There's a lot of videos on YouTube saying that like the Philando Castile and all these shootings are really like hoaxes and stuff. It's like they show like.
I don't think they're hoaxes. I think Castile was really shot.
You think so?
Yeah, it just so happens that happened in Minnesota. And my sister's
color of the
ex-husband is a cop out there, and he told me it was real.
All right. Yep.
So there's a lot of videos.
This is the thing.
Show all the videos that like they call them like psyops and hoaxes. I listen to everybody on all sides: the racists, the Nazis, the Black Power, the left, the right.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people think that they're faking their stage to cause a race war. That's one perspective. Or they're picking out things that are really happening and trying to make a race war with that. But some people are creating.
Well, logistically, it's much easier to do that. So, obviously, statistics tell you, and the law of big numbers tells you, bad shit will happen on a regular basis. It doesn't have to happen a lot. It just has to happen once to make a case out of it until the next one happens. And then you go on and on and on. But like Brutus said, when you're talking in terms of pure numbers, it's not actually that big compared to, well, let's look at a place like Rwanda. Or, you know, Somalia. Or, you know, Somalia, by the way, which is our living example of ANCAP government in action.
Yes.
Anarchy capitalists. And I always bring up Somalia. Oh, you mean like Somalia? And they're like, no. And I go, well, that's what they are. Okay, where violence is so normalized there, it's actually part of their culture. Okay? So they don't need to push an agenda for anything bad to happen. But all these other groups you talk about, the Nazis, the white supremacists, the black supremacists, everybody in between, they come into this with a preset agenda. So they're only ever going to mold information to suit them. They're not going to find new information to share. They're in their best interest to shape the information however they want to fit their pre-existing context, the message they want to sell. And they even tried it with the Manchester bombing, which I had happen on the page that I was administrating at the time, where some guy was going on about it being a hoax. And this was like 12 hours after I'd received a phone call from a very close friend of mine whose son happened to be at the concert. And obviously was shit scared and everything like that, as you would be, absolutely terrified and stuff. And because when it, like Bruce said, if you actually know somebody who knows something about it, it comes home to you in a very, very personal and true way. And as a result, you're like, yeah, it reminds you that, no, the logistics involved in staging that is very, very unrealistic. All they have to do is exploit a current situation to try and suit their agenda. Because all it takes is for them to get... And who are the people who encourage them? The people who already agreed with their agenda years ago. They're always going to have the same fans, pressing like and doing all this sort of stuff. And so on. So it's not, they're literally preaching to the converted.
It's about 10:30 here, so guys, I'm gonna have to sign off so I can go back to the coal mine tomorrow.
No worries, mate. Great to see you, Brutus.
Hey, don't forget, come see me on Be Social, and I'll send you some stuff later in the week, Chase.
All right, thanks.
Come on over.
I'll go on there tomorrow.
Great, thank
I'll
you.
go on Be Social tomorrow. What's your name on there?
Brutus Laurentius.
Okay, I'll see you on there tomorrow.
Like, stay consistent. That way my friends can find me. Okay, take care, guys.
All right, see you later, mate.
Yeah, I'm gonna get ready to listen to the end of the show. That's the weird thing about me. Like, I can like listen to all sides and just hear them out. As I don't say anything, or
Yeah.
like the like even like some of like the white power guys, like some of their arguments. I mean, if you like open your mind, like you're coming from another planet. I mean, they talk about like white extinction and stuff like that. I mean, like, I don't have a problem with them, trying to preserve their European heritage or Italian heritage or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and wanting children that look like them, and not wanting mixed children, stuff like that, stuff like that. But I don't agree with all like the harming other races and oppressing other races.
Active genocide or something
like,
bizarre.
Right.
Yeah, but as far as like the Ethiopians being for their culture and like the Orientals being for their culture and their people and the Europeans being for their people, but the problem with like blacks, like we don't stick for our people like all the other races do, which is why we're at the bottom. But
yeah, well, it's a lot of disenfranchisement that's perpetually being generated through that system. We have a similar example here with the urban Aboriginal population, because there's a massive difference, between the urban Aboriginal population and the tribal population. Tribal population are actually pure blood tribal Aboriginals. They've never ever integrated into any white society. They've never intermarried, interbred, or anything like that. Urban Aboriginal
in normal society, they would call that racism.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see the problem within your own group if you want to be like that. I don't think anything's wrong with that.
No, that's right. They make the choices they make and they do what they do, right? But the fundamental thing is they're doing it without hurting anybody else, right? Yes. So, nobody, there aren't any fights or protests or riots or anything like that going on. It's just people following their own, whatever they want to do with their community. And carrying on with it and stuff like that. So, great, good on them. Do what you got to do. But the whole thing is that a lot of these, modern day charismatic leaders who front these more extreme causes want to leave their mark on history, and the best way to do that is blood. Right? So it's about inciting violence. It's about suggesting actions that are not only anti-authoritarian, but also anti-human rights in some ways, which is effectively what trying to kill somebody is. And they will use any and all excuses to do it. Doesn't matter what cause they're representing, it's always the same mentality. It doesn't matter if it's a race-based cause, a religious-based cause, or whatever. It's all the same mentality involved in it all. And the only thing that helps me deal with that in a sane and proper way is that thankfully they tend to be very much in a minority when they do all this sort of stuff. Because if they weren't, you would end up with Somalia. You would end up with Rwanda. You'd end up with some shithole place where large groups of armed people are clashing with large groups of armed people to impose their will across the populace.
Yep. Disgusting, really.
Well, this is why we create civilizations.
But I mean, like logically, I don't see it wrong with like a white man or a white woman wanting a white child that looks like them. I don't really consider that like racist extremism or like trying to preserve the German bloodline or wherever they're from and all that stuff.
Sure.
There's no kind to other groups and races and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't mind having like a mixed child or something like that, but every single man on the planet doesn't want that.
No, of course, because that also
I
comes back down
understand
to
that, but the media will say like, "Oh, it's racism, it's extremism. These people are for the preservation of their heritage and culture, and that's wrong."
yeah. Well, ultimately, I think it's the case of personal preference. If you do believe strongly in having that as part of what you're doing, and you're going to have a family based on your own culture and stuff, then okay, you have the freedom of choice to pursue that path if you so wish. If that's how important it is to you, go for it, I guess. You know, like yourself, Chihuahua, it wouldn't bother me if I had mixed kids or anything like that, because my personal priorities are different in that regard. I'm not concerned with preserving a particular culture from which I've come from or anything like that. I have other stuff in life that I might see as more important. But some people won't. Some people are going to feel that way. And guess what? They're kind of allowed to, if that's how they feel, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same way that with religion, it's the same deal, okay? In many cases with religious cultures, they'll tend to marry within their own religion and stuff, because they see that as a priority. They see that as a very important part of their identity and who they are and what they do. And hey, you know, more power to them. Do what you will.
Oh, that's it.
Like the Ethiopians and a lot of the Chinese and like Japanese and stuff, they try to like stick their kind, like you know, their children like them.
You big guys.
Yeah,
No,
well, and we have those demographics here as well. We have a lot of African immigrants here now, and they are the one thing amazing thing about them is that they are very ferociously Christian. Okay, because they've come from really shitty places on the planet where God has played a very important part of it, because church is the only thing that keeps their community together, right? So they have a entrenched investment in marrying within their own Christian sect and doing that sort of stuff.
That's been my experience with them here as well. African immigrants that have come to Canada are generally pretty Christian.
Oh yeah, very much so. Like really into the evangelical stuff and the Pentecostal stuff, and
especially.
Yeah, and if you look at where they come from, you can kind of understand why. It's a bulwark against their poverty and suffering and all that, you know. So they have strong reasons.
Well, I also think that they know they're going to a society that's largely Judeo-Christian, and that it would be in their best interest to fit in, right? So,
yeah, well, that's it. Because they do come here, but they do come here with at least some modicum of choice, and they go, Australia. Well, that was colonised by the Brits, who were a Judeo-Christian based society, and so Australia has founded its laws on Christian style beliefs as opposed to maybe Islamic beliefs or Hindu beliefs or anything like that. And so we become automatically become a preference for them, because they know, one, they'll never be persecuted for their belief here. So they don't have to worry about that. They're going to find like-minded people here already, because they'll attend all the churches here, but these churches were originally made by earlier generations of white Christians, and they'll just join them. And they're like, boom, and everybody's happy to have them there. And I've been to a couple of these churches because I sometimes take my clients there, and they're massive place, like 2,000 people per congregation, and they're all up and dancing and clapping and doing whatever they do and stuff, and they're right into it because it gives them a sense of belonging. It also, because they have that similar value base, integration into our society is pretty straightforward, right? So there's no real conflict, because the way that they treat each other and their families is very similar to the legal system that sets up a framework about how we should treat each other and our families and stuff. It's about love and mercy and things like that. And they will compare it to their own life experience that they've had in more extreme circumstances with warring rival factions in their own countries who might be, say, Muslim-based, where they're like, we have a good reason for not liking that religion versus our own religion, because we come from this viewpoint. They come from, if you die in combat, you go to heaven. That's a pretty that makes for a pretty violent encounter every time. So they'll get right into the nitty-gritty of it all.
Yep. I used to work with a guy named Rogus, and he was from Rwanda, and him and I were both flying tankers at the time, and I talked to him quite a bit. He had the misfortune during the whole upheaval in Rwanda of being pinned to the ground and watching his wife and kids get murdered in front of him.
Yeah.
And that guy was the most devoted Christian I've ever run into. You know, when the Christmas holidays come along, he was just, you know, singing gospel and constantly exposing praises and stuff like that. Always had a Bible in his hand or was reading something biblical, you know, without fail. Very super great guy, though. But, I don't know if it was the horror of what happened to his family that caused him to go that way, or if it's maybe a Christian aid agency came to his help, perhaps, you know.
Yeah.
In the aftermath of this whole thing. But I noticed that about a lot of African immigrants, that many of them are pretty devoted Christians.
Oh, yeah.
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 So, which you wouldn't think normally. You know.
Well, this is the thing. It's like people don't realize until they meet these communities of what actually is a part of their current cultural basis. Not their traditional historical cultural basis, but their modern day current where they are now basis. And it will tend to be that more, you know, evangelical type Christian belief stuff. Because a whole bunch of them basically living in shitty situations said, we want something in our lives that doesn't involve having to fight for our life every day, where we can actually trust our neighbors and work together and do stuff together and get stuff achieved. Rather than, you know, being recruited by warlords or having our kids taken away or our wives killed or anything like that. You know, there are choices that people make. And these people had some pretty strong reasons at the time. So I'm certainly not going to argue against it. It's like that's really cool, you know. If that's where you're coming from, that's what you want to do, then yeah, absolutely get into it and do it.
Well, I think for
because
a lot of
the other stuff already exists. You know, we already have here, for instance, who are Hindus and they're the same way. You know, they're very devout about their belief system. They're very, I guess, insular in the same way. They only marry within their own faith, things like that, and so on. So they come from these communal groups that do all this sort of stuff. And they come to Australia with the knowledge that they will in no way ever be persecuted for being part of that group.
Yeah. Well, I think some of them find a lot of comfort in it too, right?
Oh, of course.
Just like for example, like even looking at the black demographic in the United States, I find there's a lot of black Christians in the North.
Right.
That I wouldn't say to the same degree like I would see in the United States, especially the southeastern United States. There's a lot of black Christians there, without a doubt. And I don't know if that's a virtue of their past history or whether it's the conditions of living or what. But years ago when I ran the States, I used to go along with pretty much the same silly beliefs and stereotypes that I used to have about, the possibility of ending up in the wrong neighborhood in New York City or Hunts Point or somewhere, you know, around Trenton, New Jersey, or, you know, the bad side of Chicago. And to this day, I'll still tell people, and they'll ask, they'll say, you have any problem with the black folks down there? And I go, hell no. I said, I have more problems with the white assholes than I do the black. You know? And they go, really? Yeah. I go, yeah. Maybe in the whole time that I ran the U.S., I maybe had one problem with the black dude, you know?
Right. Well, yeah.
All the rest of them treated me pretty graciously, you know, with a good amount of dignity, and they didn't treat me poorly at all, you know. Showed me due respect, and I never had an issue. If I had problems at all, it was usually from other white guys. You know.
No, for sure. Yeah.
So I kind of got
white
away.
Assholes, that's for sure.
And I got away from that thinking, you know. And I still stand by that. People are stunned when I tell them this too. And I go, no, don't believe everything you watch on TV shows and news media and stuff like that. It's just they're playing people against people on purpose.
Oh yeah, they're always trying to divide.
Yep. Well, like you were saying earlier,
you know,
you were talking about a group against another group. and then they step out of it, making no part in this. We had a situation back a number of years ago where the unions, the Conservatives in provincial parliament, because the Conservatives were passing an omnibus bill, which meant that 13,000, roughly 13,000 civil service workers were going to get laid off or permanently, because we had way too much government service.
Yeah.
Like basically you had 13 government civil service workers for every citizen alive. And and so Harris decided to cut because the federal government cut. And so anyways, the unions had their big protest on the Hill in front of Queen's Park. But to compound matters, they started getting pelted at with rocks by another unruly mob of people. And they turned around and said, well, you know, it's the conservative thugs and all that shit, and blah, 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 and the right-wing neo-Nazis and all that shit. And it was found out later on that the unions hired these guys, and they even gave them paychecks to do that. In other words, basically, membership.
Yeah, exactly. And this is not a new tactic, is it? Do you remember the old days with the union busters and the goons that get sent in and stuff? Oh, yeah, this is not a new concept at all.
Well, it's exactly what they did. And same back to the issue about police killings of blacks.
Yeah.
We had a guy, his name was Dudley Laws. This was back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And Dudley Laws, from what I can gather, was a Jamaican immigrant who came to Canada some years before. You know, fast forward to 30 years later, and he still sounds like he got off the damn banana boat. But he tried to implore that the Metropolitan Toronto Police Service was the most murderous police service in North America when it come to black youth shootings.
Wow.
And so they pulled up the statistics on it. It became quite a controversy. They pulled the statistics on it, and in that given year in Metropolitan Toronto, police had 58 direct gun incidences. And of that 58, only 3 of them were black.
Right. Okay.
Only 3.
Yeah.
Only 3. The rest were all white.
Yep.
But he was still going to maintain that Toronto was the most murderous police force in North America. So he really soured the relationship between the Toronto Police Service and the black community. So then the police were getting kind of lackadaisical when it come to dealing with them.
Yep.
And it took a long time for them people to kind of screw their head around, right? But they finally did. And put Laws, basically, Dudley Laws, back to, you know, you're a zero, get out of here. But it didn't matter. Later on, he got caught in a immigrant smuggling ring, and the conditions he's bringing the immigrants under, he's getting about $5,000 per head, and he got caught doing it, and less than adequate or humane conditions too. And he couldn't explain that away to the media, so he disappeared out of sight. Nobody's heard from him since.
Of course. Yeah.
So typical.
Yeah. It's this. This is it. I mean, this is what people in the wrong do, though, isn't it? They'll make a monster out of something else to take the heat off them, and all they have to do is start to foment an atmosphere of fear, and everybody suffers because people can only operate on the information they receive at the time. So you have cops going like, "Oh, is that how the black community feels about us? We better be hyper vigilant," and that can lead to some pretty bad mistakes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the black community will respond in kind, going, "Oh, we're being particularly singled out by police at the moment. We need to be hyper vigilant," and as a result, other horrible things might happen. And then you find out at the end of the day, it's like it's all based on bullshit.
Well, the other thing too is this coming out of 51 Division in Toronto, and 51 Division is pretty diversified as a police service. I would say at least half of their component black officers. Another good portion of them are Vietnamese and Chinese officers that deal with the Asian community, and then of course you got your mainstream typical white Canadian police officer. You know, X number of women, X number of Aboriginals or Native Indian here. That are in the police service to deal with those communities, and you know they've had a lot of success with it. Shootings are down in Toronto now; they're not as bad as they used to be. The unrest isn't as common anymore, so people seem to be coming around and they're getting along. You know, so But when the activists were pushing their shit, that's when all the upheaval took place. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's right.
And I see
That's
that
right.
with
And
today's and I see that with today's Antifa and Black Lives Matters. It's not helping the people that they claim to be representing. It's actually causing them more harm than good.
It is. It's escalation. It's artificial escalation of a situation that doesn't need to exist, because they always put the cart before the horse. They create their platform of activism before any shit's gone down. So as a result, they have to cause shit to happen to justify their own position, and it just becomes this vicious cycle. People get into. We used to have this massive problem in Australia back in the 80s and 90s to do with Aboriginal deaths in custody. Okay, so they found that was a disproportionate number of Aboriginals seemed to be committing suicide in prison, and so they held a royal commission into it. And what they found out was that, I mean, a lot of shit went down, including up to that. Oh yeah, they were being hanged, but not by themselves. It would be like very racist Darwin prison guards or something, because the people in the Northern Territory, hardcore white redneck type culture, okay? And well, put it this way, their ancestors, up until the 1950s, used to hunt Aboriginals on their land without consequence, things like that, okay? So that entire cultural background behind all this sort of stuff already had a devalued approach to Aboriginal life as it was. So I looked at, where are all these deaths occurring? Oh, they all seem to be occurring in the same part of the country. Then they looked closer into it, and then a lot of guards came under investigation. A few of them actually confessed to what they did, and they went, this is what the problem is. Because what was happening as a result of this news getting out about disproportionate black deaths in custody was that, of course, protests were starting up. Lots of racial tension was being developed. It was reinforcing a whole lot of negative stereotypes on both sides and all this sort of shit. And that's when the government said, no, we know. Otherwise, we're going to have blood on the streets all the time. Every time there's a protest, it's going to get violent. And we do not have a tradition of violent protests in this country. Our protests are pretty tame. So, that's what it often takes to do that sort of shit. The same way that back in the early 2000s, the welfare state had to be subject to royal commission in my state because they were abusing their powers with the kids they take into welfare custody and things like that, so-called child protective services who are actually doing the opposite and all that sort of bullshit. So as a result, over 1,000 people lost their jobs. They've had to rebuild the system from the ground up under supervision and all this sort of stuff, just because the sheer amount of entrenched, institutionalized horror that was being caused by these people.
It's still going on here.
Well, exactly. And that's what made me think of what you told me about what's happening with CPS in Canada and stuff. It's like, we had that exact same thing too, until enough people had the guts to blow enough whistles and get an actual royal commission happening.
Our big problem here is the government seems to empower them even more, thinking that that's something that's going to lead to a solution, but in fact it doesn't.
It's the opposite.
And they always seem to find a way to curve the law in their favor, right? So,
of course. And they've been doing this here for 30 years. They've been curving the law in their favor and claiming they were the good guys and all this sort of stuff. And it took the feds to come in and say, no, you're not. You're shit. You're really bad at your jobs. Because either one or two things. You've either got a minority of people who are active offenders, or you've got a majority of people who are letting it happen. Okay? Either way, you're guilty.
Well, quite often I've heard people say that what determines the, I guess you could say, the wellness or the goodness of one CS to the next is the director at the top. All right. And there's a lot of groups that have gotten together over the years that have found a way to tame some of them by simply taking out memberships in the local CAS. And what they do is they show up for voting day and they get rid of the bad head. And they try to find the lesser of the 4 or 5 evils that are running for that office. And that works for a while to a degree. But once CS got wise to this, then they started denying these individuals membership. So,
right. See, there you go.
And they know who you are because chances are you probably belong to a website or a group, something like Stop Whining and Grow Up, but for people concerned about Children's Aid Society powers and abuses. So, in Ontario, we got one group called Stop CS from Taking Children from Good Parents.
there's over 22,000 people on the darn group.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, it's a big Facebook site. And we one of the things we try to warn the membership is that if you have something that you want to talk about, or you're going to take it to court, or you want to fight it, or you're looking for information, I mean, the CS has got their trolls everywhere.
Yeah.
So we tell them to use a different name or an anonymous name
That's
rather than
right.
an actual name, and don't post a picture of their face or their children or anything. You know, use an avatar. Or if you don't have a cartoon avatar or something like that, pick a face out of a magazine or something, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anything. Don't use your face. Don't use your kid's face or anything like that. But still, we get some of these, especially single moms. They're stupid this way. They'll put pictures of their kids up there and stuff like that, and going, you don't do that. That's how you lose your kids.
That's exactly right. Yeah, people will always use that information against you.
Yeah.
You know?
From the behind as an administrator, we all know who they are. We know who the CS trolls are.
Yeah.
But unless we have a way to prove it, which is pretty difficult.
Exactly. Yeah.
We can't just throw them off either, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
And even if we did, they just come in under another namesakes. So.
Yeah, of course. They always send it others. Well, the same ones under other accounts. Stuff.
Oh, yeah. So this is why we tell these people, you know, the other thing we tell them not to do is to accept IM messaging from any of these parties or anyone else on the whole site.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that everyone on there is bad, of course not. Maybe some are going to offer good advice, but the problem is that we have no way of controlling it, and we don't know. No. You don't know if the person you're talking to is fishing for information from you.
Mm-hmm.
That can be used against you. Right.
That's right.
And there was a few there that joined the group, and like I said, they broke every single rule, and they lost their kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, the other thing too, I don't know how it works in Australia, but here in Canada, Child Protective Services have nothing to do with the government. They are not a government agency. No.
Really?
No.
No. Ours. This is why we had a Royal Commission, because ours it's state government.
Oh, okay.
So that's why the commission could actually destroy the entire institution and rebuild it from scratch, you see. But I didn't know yours was privatized. That's shocking.
No, it's an NGO. It's what we call an NGO or non-government organization.
It's an NGO, non-profit.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's government.
But yet, disgustingly, it's got more powers than the police.
Oh,
it's got more power than doctors.
And
override them as the judge in court.
No.
And
No. That's
the judges are by them anyhow, and quite a lot of times the judges were former family law lawyers, so they're they're going to prove it in their favor too, right? This is the problem.
Of course. No, I had no idea, man. I had no idea that.
Watch any video on Diana Davis's channel, and she'll break all that down for you. She explains how fucking fucked up the Canadian law system is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. I can tell you firsthand.
Well, I know I can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's why I just want to go up north and get out of here. I'm tired of the rat race down here in the south. I'd just rather go up in the hinterland and live quietly and peacefully. Not put up with
man.
Anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
No, Sheila and I had a nice time up there fishing and tripping around and
looking at different
houses and properties. It was nice up there. I got some pictures. I just haven't posted them yet. So
that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a couple of bears and different things along the way.
Cool.
And other than that,
what are you eating there, James? Oh, sorry, man.
Chicken, mashed potatoes, and asparagus, man.
Oh, he's a man.
Yeah, nothing fancy. Just body fuel.
Tonight I had chicken, barbecued chicken, scalloped potatoes au gratin with cheese, of course.
Potatoes au gratin.
Yep, and a little side of rice. It was actually pretty good.
There you go.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any vegetables. What the fuck?
No, we missed the vegetables.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
Well, we didn't miss them. I did a chuck steak on the grill with broccoli and a little handful of rice.
There you go. There you go.
James,
You know, I'm not a vegetarian by any means, but I will tell you, I will tell anybody, I will shout it from the mountaintops. The more vegetables I eat, the better I feel. Hands down.
I agree. Well, anyways, no, James, I got the vegetables, but like we're saving it for Thanksgiving next weekend.
Ah, right, okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Next weekend's Canadian Thanksgiving, so yeah. But anyhow, yeah. No, actually,
such a weird concept for a holiday to me.
The truth is Canada's too cold to grow vegetables, so we don't have any.
Wow.
So
really?
Right.
That's why
I
our
wish I had
armies.
that excuse when I was 8 years old.
This is why that our armies are all massed at the border. They're getting ready to go down south and raid California.
Yeah.
To get vegetables and oranges. Yeah, of course.
Right, yeah.
I had a feeling like shit. No, I don't even like vegetables. I think they taste terrible. I don't like them. But
I like asparagus.
I feel better when I eat them, so I choke it down.
I love asparagus. I love broccoli. I love cauliflower. I love squash. Ooh,
you put a little butter and garlic salt on asparagus. Yeah, it can be tolerable. Did you get your nutrients?
Yeah, we love strawberries. We get strawberries here too.
Strawberries make you come hard.
Sheila loves peaches.
They make you what?
What was that about strawberries?
What, James?
James, I missed that.
He says strawberries make you come hard.
Oh, what?
Make you, what thinking about them does? Or just strawberries make you come harder. Okay.
I thought
you heard it from Professor James.
I thought they made you shit hard. We used to have a what do we call a laxative years ago called Fowler's strawberry extract, and supposed to give you the shits right when you couldn't.
Okay, lovely. But no, according to James, strawberries make you come harder. So
they do.
That's awesome news, dude.
Yeah, and pineapple makes it taste better. So
okay. Well, I haven't test driven a lot of different come lately, mate. Experience, but I'm sure that you're onto something.
If you like your partner, drink pineapple juice before sex.
Okay. All right.
How about pumpkin spice?
So on that note, should we close things out? It's getting pretty late.
Yeah, might as well. I think we've gone all the way from suicide and that to strawberry sex stuff. So yeah, I think we've pretty much covered the whole gamut.
Worthy reunion.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah, that's right. Good to see the standards have in no way changed, and we all came back a little bit wiser.
You know, we should do this again next Sunday, but let's do a stream randomly during the week to talk about Star Trek and sci-fi.
Yeah. We'll do the sci-fi thing. Yeah, definitely.
You can pick up with the Diana Davidson thing.
Oh, I want to stream Diana Davidson on my dick. Actually, we even call it rape. That's the best thing. All right.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Okay, mate. Yeah, you too, guys. You too. All right.
This was great.
I'm going to go get some lunch. I'll catch you later.
All right, cool. Ash, good to see you. Chase, good to see you. Darren, good to see you. Let's do it again soon. I'll see you guys on the flip side.
Okay.
Bye, now.
Peace, love, dope.
Hey.